Yes, everybody, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. Jack here, doing a fan show solo this time. Dave's just not feeling too well, so can't join me today. He wanted the show to be Wednesday, but I just feel like, you never know with how this week could turn out because Spurs are just not very good at the moment. And Postecoglou is certainly under a lot of pressure by the fan base, perhaps not as much from the board, which we'll be talking about today. Give us your thoughts. Come on the show, please, everybody. We have a decent queue in the background already, which is good to see. People definitely want to have their say. But come on, have a chat with me, especially people who have been given a fan show membership recently. Make your debut. Would love to see some debuts for the show and get your Tottenham Hotspur therapy, especially give me some as well, because it's nice to hear other people give their thoughts, give their opinions instead of me always blabbering all the time. But yes, everybody, this is going to be a breakdown of what happened, of course, against Leicester. I don't even know if it's as much about how poorly we might have played in that second half against Leicester. I think it's just more kind of the bird's eye view of the whole situation, really, is probably what we'd be talking about. How serious is this relegation battle? Whether Spurs are going to be getting any players in this January window is just baffling to think about because Ange is saying it's not happening anytime soon. We're also getting rumors that Johan Lange is finding it very difficult to get signings through the door and that type of thing. It's just very, very concerning. And you could say there's just a ton of things that are just sort of building up to a bad, bad, ugly situation at Tottenham Hotspur right now. So that's what we have to talk about. That's what we're here to discuss. So come on, have your say with me. Link is in the community section for all the fan show members. Going to get to the chat here. And then after that, going to take a look at maybe some of the questions that I do have. But I imagine plenty of you people already have things on your mind and plenty of things that you already want to say at this stage. So it's good to see you all. If you guys can for me, smash the like button, please. Would be a massive help. Just sends us out to more and more people. And like I said, if you are a fan show member and been looking to come on at maybe at some point or been looking to make your debut, feel free to do so. But Chris, starting us off here, Chris, who will also get us started off, I believe, after Brad in this fan show, member for 38 months, well over 3 years, the absolute general of this community, Chris is. He's saying enough is enough. Ange, Levy, Ange, or Ange. I said Ange twice. Feels that way with Ange. Almost want him out twice. Ange, Levy, Longa, Munn are responsible for the situation we are in. Ange's management is non-existent, and Levy and co neglected the team. It's so many things that are just going the wrong direction. Ange, hasn't been, I think, helping the situation with the way he's been handling injuries. He's also just losing a lot of games. Let's just be frank, whether you think it's down to the injuries, down to the tactics, down to him, down to other factors, we're just losing a lot of games. And the manager at the end of the day does take some responsibility in that. He has to. He is the one coaching the team. But then also Daniel Levy, like going into this January transfer window, Chris, he sort of had two options and he's found a way to do neither, which to me is just incredible and also just peak Levy frustration. And also just when you feel like your expectations are so low for Daniel Levy, somehow he finds a way to surpass them yet again, because going into this January window, I think he had two options, really. He either had to back Ange by bringing in players straight away to alleviate this injury situation, but also basically to fix the problems we already experiencing kind of from some of the first games of the season. Not enough quality forward players, don't actually have any left-sided defenders really to rotate with, which led to Destiny Udogi's injuries and plenty of other situations that we still need to try to fix. We did bring in the goalkeeper, with Kinski, but we still needed to do so much more. And Ange was asking for these signings even before the January window. So it's just frustrating. So they didn't back Ange, and then they also didn't sack Ange. They also could technically, considering, the form that he already was in, the trouble Spurs already were in, you could have maybe thought about, I guess, already parting ways with Ange and then bringing in a different manager if they were willing to come in the January window and then give them the signings or at least give them the opportunity to try to pick up from this rebuild. But somehow Daniel Levy has found a way to do neither. Somehow he's found a way to do neither. But thank you for the support, Chris, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say on this situation. It will be Chris's floor tonight. Adrian Stroka, good to see you in the house. Good evening, Dave and Jack, and et cetera all. Shemtan is in here as well. Evening, Jack and Dave. Don't know what to say about this team anymore. Levy is quiet. Ange is still there. Midfield wide open. It's just a mess. Absolutely right, Shem. It's just a complete mess from top to bottom. Good to see you in here. And we haven't really been able to ask you about any kebab orders in a while because Spurs just haven't been winning games. We are Spurs TV saying embarrassing, unacceptable performance. Completely right. And also good to see you. We are Spurs TV. Alan, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, Jack and Dave. We're living in scary times, being so close to the drop zone. I mean, that's one of the questions for tonight, Alan, right? Like, how serious is this relegation battle? We're about 7 points off of, I think, Leicester City, who are only one place above the actual relegation zone. So how realistic is it? We're definitely close, but do you take it that seriously? Some people might still be pretty distant towards it. Still feel like they're not really taking it all that seriously. The relegation scrap. Certainly, I think everybody's definitely in a bad mood about how poor the form is, but I think some people might still kind of be in the realm of, I guess thinking that the relegation type of worries really aren't that serious, considering all the teams that are worse than us. But when you look at it, we've lost to the Wolveses, we've lost to the Leicester Cities, we've lost to the Ipswiches, we've lost to all the teams that are in that relegation type of area. So that's a bad sign, Alan. Hope to see you in February though, if we're still linking up. And yeah, would love to maybe chat about other things as well as Tottenham Hotspur. But big up to you, Alan, and look forward to meeting you. Eugene is in the house as well. Big up, everyone. Don't be a Levy. Hit those likes. Exactly right, everybody. Hit the thumb, smash it, absolutely punch it. Especially if it were a Daniel Levy bald head. But thank you very much, Eugene, and appreciate you and looking forward to what you have to say tonight. Phil Coys is in here. Good to see you, Phil. How are we? Dan Coys as well. My worry for the players, apart from injury and being played nonstop, is that they'll start to lose the love of the game before they down tools for a manager or club. Come on, you Harris Army. It feels that way, Dan, where it's a combination of injuries, fatigue, lack of signings, like lack of players to come in with kind of fresh ideas and also just a fresh kind of enthusiasm and impetus, right? To prove people wrong or to, come in and pick up the team, in a bad situation. We don't have that going for us. Then we also have a lot of players that are probably each time we lose and each time that we just are getting outplayed are losing more and more confidence in the system themselves. And it feels like it'd be tough to kind of rewire them and to sort of just kick them off, again, to go on winning form, even when they get all the injuries back, right? Who's to say that the mentality hasn't taken a huge hit over this period of really bad form? Good to see you, though, Dan. Hopefully everything's all right with you. Alpesh Patel, good to see you, sir. Good evening, David Jack. I went yesterday and it was a numbing feeling. I knew that we could lose before I set foot in that arena of pain. Nothing has changed under the current owners. We need change, 100%, man. And you like to think that regardless of, whether you're Ange in, Ange out, that the majority of Spurs fans are really, pointing the majority of their blame as well as their attention towards Daniel Levy right now, Alpesh, and the arena right now, at least under Ange and just in general. Trying to hopefully. Hopefully people can hear me. Hopefully people can see me. Sorry about that. Internet's crashed. I think I just have to switch to a new provider or something like that. It's become absolutely horrid. And you can even see it sometimes on the watch long. Feels like things have just been pooping out recently. Apologies about that. I was mid rant about something about Spurs or whatever, but I'll just try to keep things moving. And I appreciate all the support that's coming in, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. I should be back on screen. I'm just going to check to see if everything does look okay on my end. Can people hear me? Can people see me okay? Am I all good? Am I back? Speak up. Can't see me. Some people, yeah, it looks like people can see me now. Maybe you just got to refresh it. Sorry about that, everybody. Just kind of the situation at Spurs. Nothing's going well. Nothing's looking up. Even the streams. International Observer, big up guys. Ange, 2 out of 10. Levy -10 out of 10. Poor Spurs fans. Our struggles continue. Good to see you, International Observer. Get well soon, Dave says Alpesh Patel. Minchi is in here. Just a harmless potato. Good to see you, just a harmless potato. Appreciate your support. No Davey, no likey. LOL. I'm sorry, Shem. Dave just not feeling well today. Like I said as well, I think, it's going to be a busy week. You never know what's going to happen. This week you could get some breaking news about something. So I figured we just, definitely have to get the fan show, just up there. People definitely are passionate. People want to have their say. People want to get their mind, and their opinions across. So it's just going to have to happen. It's just going to have to happen tonight, whether Davey's feeling well or not. Chris the General will be speaking to us later. You're right, Darren Johnson. Good to see you, Darren. Hopefully everything's all right with you. Just a harmless potato member for 9 months. If anyone needs the sack, it's Johan Lange. We have some questions about Johan Lange for sure. Just a harmless potato. And the frustrating thing, right, is I feel like we're getting such similar kind of things to what we got with Steve Hitchen, where he's like, oh, I have all these signings, lined up, just ready to go. But Daniel Levy's pulling the plug on all of them. That was one of the recent rumors or ITK type of rumors that have come out. And to me, that just smacks of what we heard before with Steve Hitchen. And also, a lot of people tried to defend Steve Hitchen for that type of thing. Believe me, I understand. Like, Daniel Levy does not make it easier or any way, easy on directors of football. But it's not like he doesn't give you a budget of some kind to work with. Like, Daniel Levy usually spends in and around 100 million, every summer window. So you have the budget to work with. Try to negotiate, try to sort of bring players through the door, even if it requires you to have to, bend over a bit more and, have to really, sort of work the deal and, use sort of a bit of a sort of negotiation tactics and structure the deal, break it down financially, do what Paratici did, right? The installments, try to do maybe a deal where you kind of help them out in the long run by maybe making a player of yours cheaper that you sell them. There are a variety of ways that you can try to get the deal done. And it seems like Johan Lange is sort of doing that Hitchen approach where he's like, oh, well, I identified this player, but Daniel Levy doesn't want to sign him. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you have to be able to get it through the door under the circumstances that you're given. Plenty of directors of football seem to do a very good job while being given much, much smaller budgets to work with, right? And they're bringing in top class players. So I'll be honest, like, as much as Daniel Levy is an absolute pain in the ass, probably for directors of football, to say that it's entirely on Levy, all the time, when it comes to transfers, at least, I think can be a little bit, it's got to be also on directors football because we were getting in players through the door when we had Paratici. Paratici was able to work under Levy's very frustrating type of restrictions and parameters. So why can't Johan Lange? That's kind of the way that I see it. Hopefully that came across okay. And hopefully my internet hasn't crashed by this point again. Roundtable talk. Good to see you. Hope Dave recovers. Big up for doing this stream. Thank you, Flat Cat Pete. Appreciate it. DJ AK, big up, Jack. Painful watch at the moment. We need to change. That's for sure. Exactly right, man. Dan Berbatov, good to see you, sir. Best winger around. Rob Michael, good to see you. Leicester channel saying we won a game. Yeah, I mean, we've been desperate for a win. Henrik, good to see you. To be fair, we would be good if we got relegated, rebuild the club, and sign new players and come back strong. Just need players through the door quickly, man. But it's hard to say if they should come in for Ange or for a different manager. Kula Sexy Football Evening. Jack, his day pulled a hamstring. Yes, he's pulled a hamstring, but he's also feeling a bit under the weather. But I think anybody watching Spurs right now wouldn't be surprised if you're pulling a hamstring, jumping up and down in frustration, kind of pacing the room back and forth. It's probably everybody's getting injured, having to watch Spurs. Even your eyeballs are injured. Near Aviv saying Ange ball equals Dave is not fit today. Even Dave is dropping. Sorry, everybody. Nothing I can do here. Yeah, and apologies about the stream dropping there, everybody. I'm going to try my best to catch up here, but I'm going to start bringing in these guests. So, again, if you can for me, smash the like button, get in your comments. I'm going to try to bring them up on screen, but since it is a bit more of a solo act today, I'm going to try my best to, see your comments and acknowledge them, but I also have to give each guest, the attention and the questions and, the attention that they deserve. So, really appreciate you guys. Feel free to as well to support the channel by becoming a member. If you are a fan show member and have been gifted one by someone, make your debut. Would love to see some debuts happen, and feel free to support the channel as well with a super chat or any sort of comments at all. I'll be happy to respond to. Tala Ahmed, good to see you, Tala. How are we? Dennis Daly's in here as well. So many good people in here, but let's get this started, and we're gonna get it going with the one and only we have, I believe. Sounds like some sort of spammers in here with the private chat. That was a bit weird. But we have, I think Brad Matthews was first. That's right, Brad Matthews. Sorry about that, Brad. I'm staring at 10 different screens. That stream crash. Then I'm seeing in the private chat someone with like a fan show membership was like spamming the private chat. So
I mean, yeah, I noticed that actually as
what a
well.
weirdo. What a
Yeah.
weirdo.
Or some people get their joy, don't they, from
Yeah.
strange ways. So it's I mean, after everything's been happening, it's odds on that the stream was going to break down, wasn't it? Really?
It definitely should have made some bets beforehand. Would have made some healthy coin from that. Brad, though, I mean, it's like a situation of, it's really ugly, right, with Spurs, where the form in the Premier League is terrible. Daniel Levy, like I said, has found a way to somehow even surpass our very, very low expectations of him by not sacking Ange or even backing Ange. It's really quite, laughable. And it's hard to know when, the next win is going to really come. I mean, maybe Elfsborg, but in all seriousness, there's a real concern amongst fan base about relegation battle. I mean, sorry, Brad, but
Yeah,
it's,
I
it's
mean,
almost no positives at the moment, sadly.
yeah, I mean, at the moment, the way I'm looking at it, it's just it's white noise to me. It's just
Hmm.
I'm not getting involved in any social media at the moment because of it's everyone's saying the same thing. It's just, as I say, it's just too much. I go to the football and disappoints me when we lose, and the last thing I want to do is read everyone else being disappointed. It's sort of like that sort of strange sort of situation. But I just don't know what to think anymore. I don't think that sacking Ange would achieve anything because I don't think any manager at the moment will achieve anything with the owners we've got, with the board we've got. Yesterday was the loudest I've heard the Levy out chants and get out of our club, Daniel Levy. It was mainly, it was the whole of the South Stand. It was very loud. It was quite constant. There was nothing said against Ange at the game from the fans. And I think people are now realising that, Ange was calling for replacements in December. And we're January the 27th and no one. Now, that doesn't excuse yesterday. Don't get me wrong. We should have still beaten Leicester yesterday. We should have still beaten Leicester. But I think what we do is at 1-0, we weren't playing well, but they were worse. And I felt really comfortable at half time. And I'd literally just sat down and they got the equaliser. And then, which I've only just really seen on Match of the Day, was, I think, a bit of a mix-up. Maybe the goalkeeper should have got it. But Vardy's there to take those sort of chances. That's what his job is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second goal that Leicester scored, I mean, again, I'm watching it going, close him down. Don't let him shoot. Don't let him shoot. Don't let him shoot. And he shoots and they score. And then what happens after that is that Leicester start game management, which annoys the crowd, obviously, with players going down left, right and centre, and the physio's on and off and that, and then the goalkeeper taking his time and all this sort of thing. But my attitude to that is that, well, if we were 1-0 up, they wouldn't be doing it, So I just thought that yesterday was just, the 4 minutes after half time was just inept. I don't know who's teaching them how to defend or who's coaching them how to defend, but it's just totally inept to concede those goals like they did. And then Leicester are going to play their hearts out. Yeah, we were a bit unlucky. We hit the post or whatever. But, we shouldn't let Leicester get in that situation. If we don't concede those 2 goals, then Leicester have to come at us. And then we, our best method of scoring is on the break. We're very good at that. But you can't when you're losing, 2-1. We've lost 12 games, or maybe it's 13 now. And every one of them, apart from one, we've lost by a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of those games have we actually taken the lead in? 2 of the games I don't think of, we've taken the lead 2-0. And still we're losing. So there's something wrong there. There's something not quite right there. Maybe it's because they are a young team. Maybe, it's unfair. Mikey Moore came on yesterday and was exciting. It's like, we're relying on a 17-year-old. We're relying on Bergwall, who's 18. We're relying on Gray, who's 18. The goalkeeper's not that old. Papa Matasar's not that old. And we're relying on these players. So I think if we sat, I think at the moment, I heard what you're saying about Michael Langer, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I can see both your views there. I can see both points of view. And I said yesterday, I just wonder whether has got all these players, but Daniel Levy just won't sign the cheque, or get the checkbook out. because I don't know if you've seen that. There was an article in the Mail on Sunday, which is a shame because I can't stand that newspaper, but there's an article in there on the finance at Tottenham, and Daniel Levy was written by a financial guy who's actually a Tottenham supporter. I believe led to believe he's a Tottenham supporter. And we have the lowest or the third lowest wage compared to turnover in the league.
Yeah, and it's only getting lower by the looks of it.
So it's like, so you can say Ange, bring someone in. Well, be Ryan Mason. Let's not kid ourselves. But it's not going to change. And I don't think it's going to change until we get new owners. And the new owners, if you got new owners, could be just as bad. But you don't know that until you find out. But the one thing I don't think they're going to go unless there's some crazy bid. I think they've got too much invested in the club to actually just go. But I think what we can do as a fan base is make it more uncomfortable for people like Daniel Levy at the top there by what they did on Sunday by the Daniel Levy out chance. Make it uncomfortable for him. Try and make him realise that he needs to sort of change. He's a what do they call it, a low risk investor. Whereas you can't do that in football. You've got to be a high risk investor majority of times in football. That's how it works. And I was watching a show the other week with Sean Butler, who you obviously know, and he was saying that Daniel Levy, by trying to be this great wheeler dealer and getting the best thing, has screwed a lot of clubs. And unlike business in football, you probably got to go back to those clubs again, But those clubs aren't going to want to do business with us now. And I think they've now found him out, and they thought, well, we're okay. You don't want to pay that money or pay those wages. We'll find someone else, and that's what's been happening. So they've got to change. I don't know whether they will or not. All we can do as a fan base, I don't think protests will get him out, but we can make him feel uncomfortable and make his time at Tottenham, watching the game uncomfortable. And maybe they might change, but it's a bit worrying that they haven't signed any players after Ange actually said he wanted reinforcements.
For months at this point, yeah.
I actually was quite surprised. I actually made the comment yesterday that with all the chanting going on, I said it wouldn't surprise me if Levy sacks Ange, because that will take all the talk away from him and onto the manager. And so I was actually quite surprised he hasn't done that. But it might be a reverse way of doing it by saying, well, whilst Ange is still there, there's someone else to blame, for what we're doing. So he might be playing that card, but I don't see the point in sacking. And another thing, on to be fair to Ange Postecoglou, is the fact that let's see where we are once we have got our players back, if we have a full squad of players. Because I know that the tactics can concede goals, the high line, but I don't think a lot of our goals that we concede, a lot of them are from just defensive errors. They're not the high line. I don't think it's been a cause of all of our goals that we concede. And yes, there was a case in fact, the 2 goals Leicester, you can't
attribute to it.
No, the tactics. It was just bad defending.
Yeah.
Until the Leicester game, not very seriously at all, because I think there's far worse teams in the league. But what I do worry about at the moment is if we can't beat Leicester, who are on a 7-game losing streak, and we play them at home with 1-0 up, we can't beat Leicester. Where's our next win going to come from? That's what does worry me at the moment. Where's our next win going to come from? So, yeah, so that's it. I think you've gone again, Jack. Oh,
hopefully that's last time.
I thought I was going to run the show then for a minute. I do worry where our next win's going to come. I hope we somehow can beat Elfsborg, because I think the Europa League is our only hope of achieving anything this season. Can anyone seriously see us not conceding at Anfield in a couple of weeks' time? Can anyone seriously see us winning at Aston Villa? Because don't forget, there's no replays anymore. It's all extra time and penalties now. So yeah, I can see an early exit from. I don't think we'll get to Wembley. I'm seeing an early exit from the FA Cup. We should beat Elfsborg, but we should have beaten Leicester, and that will at least put us in the top 8 into the last 16, where we'll play one of the teams from 9th to 24th, I think. So, and by the time the knockout round comes together, hopefully we'll have some of our players back. But at the moment, we seem to be losing players. As soon as the players come back, we lose another one. So, it's just a really, really dark depressing season all round. But I don't think we'll get relegated, but I don't think we're going to finish much above that. I think the teams below us are a bit worse, and I think we've got the capability of winning games. If you look at the fact that we've only lost 12 out of 13 games by the one goal, so if we can turn that around to make that into draws or wins, then you're going to pick up the points that you need. Because don't forget, we're still, I think, 7 points clear of relegation zone, or 8 points. That's a big amount to make up for a team that's down there.
It's true. That's why I'm a little bit torn on that. Yeah, that's where like 7 points feels like enough of a distance between like actual relegation teams who do not pick up points at all often. So it's not like they're going to be climbing up very quickly. But at the same time, like you're just looking at it and you're like, that is bleak. Like there's nothing really to be happy about. There's nothing really to be. You can't just say like, oh, we'll be fine. It's like,
no, I'm not saying that at all.
I'm a little in between. I'm struggling to take it seriously, but at the same time, just even having to mention it as a reflection of just how
it's an old thing, isn't it? Too good to go down, isn't it? That's the term that's used. But no, we're
battle of the 15th, on Thursday night against Hoffenheim. It's just that crazy.
I don't think we will get relegated, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We've got to be thinking about, we've got to start winning games to get out of this. So, but Ange likes to fight from all accounts. So, I think his heart's still there.
Quickly on Ange, and then I might have to move to Chris, Brad. But just quick on Ange, something that does kind of bother me about him is that, again, like he had a bit of an altercation like with a fan, in the tunnel. And then this time, from what I could tell, the fan didn't like curse at him or like say anything. I think the fan just said like, we're going down with you, like, like sort of thing, like, like some version of like, you're going to bring us down. Then Ange like removes himself out of the tunnel like big tough guy, looking to stare him down. I just feel like he needs to try to cut that out. If you want to be a professional manager and you are losing games on a regular basis, you have to face the music, mate. You have to face the fact that you are losing games. That fan only gets one opportunity to even voice their frustration or their emotional frustration in that moment. They probably would take it back. Like they probably would be like, you know what, not my proudest moment, but I am frustrated. Ange has, the team he can like adjust. He has the press conferences. He can defend himself. He has all these opportunities to like voice his frustrations, voice his venting, basically defend himself. And yet like he's doing this big tough guy energy like to a Spurs fan. And I just think it's a little bit silly and over the top, to be honest. Like I think it's just over the top. Like I don't buy into it. I find it to be, if anything, almost hurting his own reputation. It hurts his own message. I think he hurts himself by doing that.
Yeah, he certainly. And I guess the situation we were in.
How many times have people called Conte, a bad word or something as he's like going
I wouldn't dare say anything.
Right, you wouldn't do it to Conte, but I bet people have. And he probably kept his head down and just walked down the tunnel and just kept his head down. Because that's part of the job. Dave and I, we see people in the chat calling us idiots and stuff half the time. It's not like we call out each and every one of them. So I just find it a bit silly for Ange.
I think it's a heat of the moment type thing. I agree that he's a professional manager, and but I mean, I've sworn at someone at a pub watching Liverpool Spurs once because this guy sort of basically laughed because we'd conceded a goal, and I just basically told him where to go. And it's a person I knew or half knew, one of the regulars in the pub, and we got the 2-2 draw. And I just went over to him at the end of the game and said, "Oh, sorry about that. Sometimes I'm a bit of a," and I mentioned the C word. And he said, "Yeah, fine, no problems, It's just, you just lose it at a time. And okay, you can say that, he shouldn't because he's a professional manager, but, maybe he looks back on that and thinks, oh, I'm overreacted. But I mean, with the press do ask him some stupid questions, I have to say, so, but.
It's true. Yeah, it cuts both ways. I think it cuts both ways. I just think, I think I'm actually all right with him being a bit more intense with the media. It's just with fans.
I am as well. Yeah,
I think I just feel like a fan's a fan, man. Like, and he's also said a million times, like, oh, fans are allowed to feel how they feel, and it's like you're kind of cutting against that then. If you're like, having like actual altercations with fans who are just saying 2 words to you, and it's not like he even cursed at you or anything like that.
Well, he did actually say, didn't he? He did actually say after the Tamworth game, he said that 97% of the fans were brilliant, but the ones that referred to his nationality and his weight with a swear word put in, he said, no, that's not right.
100%.
And I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So, But oh well, we'll have to see.
From what I could tell, that was not the case that time.
No,
So
no,
that's where
no.
I get a little bit lost about it. But Brad, thank you, sir. And Blue Sofa Songs, please everybody
Yeah,
check it
listen,
out.
I've got the idea for my next song. I've sort of started writing the music for it. I'm not sure when I'll be finished it, but yeah, please go and check out Blue Sofa Songs. Blue Sofa Songs, 3 words on YouTube. Yes, there's a load of songs in there, and I always say there's the top 10. It's probably the best place to start. But yeah, some of the older songs are quite funny. I get a laugh out of it myself these days, like going back to my early songs. So, but yeah, please click like and subscribe on all those wonderful things, and click like and subscribe to these guys. They do a great job.
Thanks,
Dave, get well soon, or hope you feel better. Hello to everyone in the chat. I've got to go and have my lunch now, so I will have to log off. But yeah, I hope the internet behaves for you, Jack.
Jeez, man. Jeez. I'm gonna have to get it fixed. I feel like I have a million errands all the time, and this will be another one they'll have to figure out. Thanks, Brad, though. Appreciate it. Thanks for getting us started as well.
Up there.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for getting
No
us started,
problems.
sir.
Have a good night. Come on, you Spurs. We can do it.
Come on, you Spurs. Keep it going. Everybody, big up to Brad getting us started. Not easy to be the guy to be the opener, and I think he does it excellently every single time. So big up to Brad, and everybody do check out Blue Sofa Songs. Please keep the show on the road moving before my internet ends up crashing out again. So we'll go on to the one and only Chris, the floor general.
The floor general changed his name.
Chris, no longer the general. You are everyone out. Oh, you are everyone out,
Yep.
Chris. Ange out, Levy out, Mon out, Long out. Everyone's out. Everyone's on the chopping block.
Everybody's on the chopping block. Jack, there was no excuse for yesterday. I don't care. I don't even want to think about yesterday after that. No, I'm sorry. I can't do it, Jack. Everybody says, oh, we're too good for relegation. No, we're not. We're looking down the barrel right now. We're in relegation form. We haven't won since December in the league. And I'm sorry, but that falls on Ange, coaching the team. Levy for his negligence of the club. Lang for not doing his job properly. And Mun's just non-existent. So I'm sorry, but no, it falls on everybody on what situation we're in now.
Yeah, I think everyone bears a huge amount of responsibility. But Chris, I mean, how has Daniel Levy found a way to do neither this January transfer window? He's neither sacked Ange nor backed Ange.
Jack, what did I say to you and David last week? Yeah, this is exactly what could happen. We're going to sign normal players, and the day after the transfer window closes, Ange will be gone, and it'll be Mason to the end of the season. You can see it coming, Jack. Come on, it doesn't take a genius to work that what's going to happen. And this excuse, always finding it hard to get players in. Really? Other teams are managing it, so why aren't we?
See, I find that difficult with Langa, Chris, because if you gave me £100 or something to, come up together with a shopping list, and everything like that, you're going to cut corners, you're going to do various things to sort of, get everything that you need. You might spend a bit more on something, you might spend a bit less on something. I think the same thing could be generally applied, maybe not the best metaphor, but it could be applied to transfers as well, right? Where, if Daniel Levy gives you a certain budget, you got to figure out which players that you can try to negotiate to bring in of the highest quality within that budget that you're given. And there are plenty of other directors of football who work with a lot less than what Johan Lange has been given. And we saw Paratici be able to work with it, so why can't Lange?
I don't know, Jack, but it just seems pretty off. There's something not right with this only signing one player. I feel he's going one way. Ange will get sacked, but it'll be after the transfer window closes, because there's no point in sacking him now. We've just over a week to go with the transfer window. It's 1 week. This next Monday, transfer window closes the 3rd. Yeah, so we've got 1 week to sign potentially 3 players. That ain't happening. If we get one, we'll be very lucky. I don't believe we're going to get any more players in unless they got the shirt in hand. I'm not believing any of the rumors.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're just going to hold on until after the Liverpool game and then make their decision? Or do you think they're just giving them until the rest of the season, Chris? It's hard to know for me. Like, it seems like if they really wanted to get rid of him, they would have by now.
I don't believe he's going to make the way he's looking. I don't believe he'll make the cup game on Thursday next week. I really don't. I think he's by the 4th or 5th of February, he'll be gone. Because it's evident what's happening. It's like they're withholding the players back, bringing players in.
Yeah.
But then you hear rumours that Ange was giving a list of these certain players that were within the budget. And he didn't want any of them because it doesn't suit his style of play. So all the rumours flying around, who knows? But all I know is where we are in a relegation battle at the moment.
Yeah, do
Our
you think
form is
that's confirmed,
relegated.
Chris? You don't think it's an exaggeration to say that we are?
No, it's not an exaggeration. No, we're not too good to go down. Our form's been appalling. Our form in the league has been absolutely dreadful, and only we've lost. We've ended Palace's losing streak. We've ended Ipswich's losing streak. We've ended Leicester's losing streak. Jack, we have not won against since December, and that was against a shit Southampton.
We've lost all the teams at the bottom. That's kind of that's the terrible part. Apart from Southampton,
Everton, another one we lost to, who got the lowest goal scored in the season. What does that tell you, Jack? I don't care. I'm sick of hearing injury this, injury that, injury this. Every team suffers injury. Okay, we've had suffered bad injuries. Is Ange to blame for that? Possibly. Who knows? But the state of this club is in disarray. It's poisoned from top to bottom, and I don't see any way out of it. We probably will get relegated if we carry on like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris, I don't know if I'm there yet to think that we actually will, but it's just bad when you're even talking about it or even having to bring it up. But why is it then? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
We're looking down even more than we are actually looking up at the top six. Top six is a distant memory.
Yeah.
Top six is long gone. We may scrape. If we do scrape relegation this year, we'll probably finish 15th. But anyway, so we'll finish where we are now. Do I see us beating Brentford on the weekend? No, I don't. Do I see us beating Man United at home? Nah, don't think so. Nah.
I mean, this is, I think, the schedule in front of you, Chris. You have Brentford away, you have Man United at home, you have Ipswich away, Man City at home, Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Chelsea away. I saw us getting about 6-7 points, from that. That's the way I sort of saw it. Like, I think Brentford away will probably lose. Man United at home will probably get something from it. And then Ipswich away, probably get a point. Man City at home, we always beat them. Bournemouth at home will probably lose. Fulham away will lose. Chelsea will probably lose.
Check. If I say we get 2 points out of that, look, I'll be being generous. Honestly, Jack, I don't believe we'll beat Brentford. I believe we'll probably get a draw against Man United, draw against Ipswich, lose against Chelsea as well, in a mix with that as well. Yeah. I believe we might get a draw against Ipswich. We definitely lose against Fulham. We always do. Chelsea we always lose to anyway, and we're going to Stamford Bridge in a form like this. Nah, mate. No, Jack. If we get 2 points out of those possible, it'll be a miracle.
Everyone thinks I'm delusional for even thinking we would get points from those listed games. A lot of people are basically saying they don't see any points coming from them.
Jack, normally I wouldn't agree with Chat so much on that, but Jack, I think you are being a bit delusional, thinking we're going to get 7 points. I can't realistically, Jack, all jokes aside, I can't see it.
Yeah. Even beyond 70. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Jack, Tottenham's actually got rid of my sense of humour. I can't even make a joke about Tottenham anymore. It's that bad. We're a laughing stock. We're a joke of a team.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming to Tottenham saying, this is 3 points. They're not even coming there to fear us. They're going, yeah, we've got 3 points in their backyard, don't matter. And then you got Son every week coming out, oh, sorry, it's not good enough. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We've known that bloody for the last 13 games. It's not good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Beyond 72, Chris saying, I agree. I don't understand the fans saying we could be or we're not in a relegation battle. We've just lost to Everton and Leicester. It's scary times. That's what worries me, right? Is that if we even think we are or we're not, we have lost to the worst teams in the league. All of them.
Do you know what? Beyond 72 is absolutely spot on. He's 100% spot on with that. With what he's saying there. If people think we're not in a relegation battle, open your eyes. We are in that this point in time. We are in that battle, in the bottom half of the table. 7 points is not difficult to lose ground on. All we have to do is lose 2 games, and then the other teams right down the bottom start picking up a few points. It's not impossible. It's not possible. So people just need to open their eyes. Yeah, this team is rotten core from top to bottom. It's a rotten core at the moment, and this Ange wants to make us proud, does he? This ain't making us proud. This is making us depressed.
In your opinion, right now, Chris, could another manager take up this? Because it is a shit situation, right? There's tons of injuries. There's
Jack,
so
I don't
many
really
things that
know.
are going wrong against the club. Could another manager pick up this current situation and technically do better?
Probably for 2 or 3 games. We'll have
Mhm.
that new manager, but we'll get a couple of good results. Then it'll go downhill very quickly again. Because I don't believe we're winning it. We're going to beat Liverpool next week. We're not going to beat them. We're certainly not probably lose to Villa. And then that's all the cup's done. Europa League, we might scrape against Elfsborg. We might scrape it.
Yeah.
I can't say, yeah, 100% we're going to beat Elfsborg because I don't believe we will. I don't believe it. A result I see now with Tottenham. I used to go into Jack every single game. Right, we're going to win this game. Now, I'm like, do I really want to watch this game? Are we really going to win this game? Nah, Jack, I can't do it no more like that. Nah. Too much disappointment. I,
Isn't
I
that
was certain we win yesterday. I had a feeling just we weren't big Leicester. It's the story of our season.
isn't that the $1 million question right now, though, Jerome? Probably one of the more important questions, regardless of where you feel about the club or Levy or anything, right? Is with the situation we're in right now, present situation, would another manager come in, take over this current situation, get more wins in the Premier League, but then also maybe give us a better chance to get past Liverpool in the second leg, take us further in the Europa League? Because that's the other question, right? Is, does Ange still have a decent chance of taking us far in these cups, right? Because that's what he does also have going for him right now. So
Yeah, but
would the new manager
Jack,
do better in the cups is the other question.
Look, even if we got a new manager, right? Say Ange was sacked next week, and we got another manager, does it make a difference? Because we've still got the same set of players. They're going to play well for a couple of games, trying to impress the new manager. Then you get comfortable, like, you know what? I don't have to try anymore. The new manager likes me.
So shouldn't we keep
So
Ange then under that logic? If you just think it's not really going to be that much better, if it's only going to be like a couple of games bounce, then should we just
but
keep Ange in charge then?
if we kept Ange, the situation will probably get more poisonous because the way he's going, the top club's toxic right now. Ange's attitude towards the fans is toxic. Ange, Levy's tenure is toxic. The players' attitudes is toxic. The whole damn thing is toxic from top to bottom. It's rotten. You can't say something that's rotten. It's unbelievable. At this certain time, with Levy in charge, the club's going to go nowhere and nowhere fast.
Yeah.
Jack,
Chris,
it's like
yeah.
We've got this brand new stadium, like the Ferrari Stadium, but we're like buying a budget car, like some sort of crap Ford or something. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. The situation's gone way too far. They've actually destroying the club's name. They've destroyed the heritage of the club.
And Chris, kind of final question is really just on the transfers. Apparently, we might be able to get one done before the end of the window. That's according to Alistair Gold. Do you have any confidence that we will sign another player before the end of the transfer window? And then if we do, what sort of position would you like us to sign someone in?
Jack, if we are signing a player, it ain't going to be a better player for now. It's going to be a future prospect, like always.
Yeah. But Chris, like, what sort of position do you think we'll sign one? Or do you think we just won't sign anyone?
Jack, I'll already give you miles. I will not believe any transfer rumor until I see any specific player with a shirt in their hand, then I'll believe it. Because I have no faith in this club whatsoever at the moment. I have no faith in Levy, no faith in Munn, no faith in Lang, no faith in Ange, all the coaching stuff, all that team. They're a disgrace. Utter disgrace of a club. They put our badge to shame. Shame on them all for ruining our club. Shame on them.
Well, sounds like you're not confident of any sort of signings then happening, Chris.
No, I'm not. Not at all. Never. I'm not confident at all because I don't believe they want Ange in the helm any more than they do now. Because if they get a new manager in, the new manager's going to want signings before the deadline window, and they just full well know that ain't happening.
Well, sir, any final things off your chest that we can get off you, General, or I see you same time next week?
No, just so I can get your super chats into Jack and Vic. Sorry, Jack, I did tell you I'm going to go for a rant on tonight.
Oh
I
man,
am not.
no
Just
positives,
say I
man.
am. No
Simply none.
positives. Simply back up. I
I think
told the
that's
Chase that the club's going to go straight downhill. And if anybody seems to think we ain't in a relegation battle, think again.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what Kate said in her fan cam. I think the other night was just there are no positives to take right now, and I think that is sadly true. Chris, pleasure as always, General. Thank you, sir. I'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Thanks for being a good ambassador of these. Appreciate you, my man. Big up to Chris. Everybody, thank him in the chat. I think, whether you agree with him or whether you don't agree with him, he's a very passionate Spurs fan. And he's, had to face the music, with us plenty of times, over these years through bad kind of periods like this. So it's good to have Chris back with us. It's good to have him back with us because we were missing him for a while. It's really good to have him back for times like these. Good therapy you can get from that guy. But I'm going to keep the show moving at this moment in time. Got plenty of people still in the back end. Feel free to come on, have your say. Going to have the link up for about another 10 minutes or so, everybody. So if you are holding on to it, if you're watching in the background, make sure to send it to yourself, text it to yourself, email it to yourself, that type of thing. But we're going to keep the show moving. We have Eugene next, who's been waiting very patiently. Hey, Eugene, how are you?
Hey, man. I'm good. How about yourself?
Trying to make sense of current situation. Eugene, where are you, man? Are you Ange out? Are you kind of just see out the rest of the season with what we have, with him and, try to wait for the players to come back to repair what we have left of the season? Where's your head at with Spurs, man? What's your plan of attack? Because things are not looking up for us.
Yeah, look, I've been Ange for the longest time. Then I went to Ange, I don't care. But now, to be honest, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've been going in a bunch of Ange out streams since I was the only Ange person willing to, do it and defend Ange. I've been called an idiot and, I should leave the club, this, and that. But at this point, two things can be true at the same time. One is that Ange has been set up to fail like all the previous managers.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to succeed if the board does not bring in players to fit his system. As we saw, in Scotland when he was there, he needs good players or the best players for his style to succeed. Obviously, we're seeing with the summer transfer window, and right now, the board is not going to back him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And two, it's just even with all that, watching the Everton game and the Leicester game, even with all the injuries and even without backing, we should have enough quality to beat those teams. I was defending Ange at the beginning, saying, look, the players are making individual mistakes, and that's what's costing us, which is true. But when you see this whole season, even last season, that the same mistakes are being made by the same players, end of the day, it has to be coaching. I know our players are limited, but still, they cannot, as a coach, as a manager, you cannot watch players make the same mistakes again and not change anything up. When I was looking at the lineup last night or yesterday, I was hoping I would see Archie Gray at the 6 for once. Why play him on the left if Reguilon is there? We saw again, I don't rate him, but when he came in, he did okay. We know that Poirot has been terrible for the last, few weeks. He's tired. He's riding on fumes. I don't know what's going on. And Archie Gray has been playing every game for the past, month. You got to rest either Poirot or Gray and play Reguilon. Just for me, the squad management from the beginning of the season has been shocking. And when, I used to also say, well, when the players come back, it's going to be different. But now I'm of the opinion that the players will never come back, just given the way things are. And we saw 2 years of evidence, the players will always be hurt, given the way Ange wants to play and, given the way he wants to train. So yes, so first it's on the board. We don't have the squad that can compete on 4 fronts. That's obvious. We're super thin, right? And we just can't do it. But on the other hand, Ange has not done himself any favors with squad management. And that's for me the biggest thing is, or the biggest reason is, like, even if everybody comes back and we don't get relegated and finish strong, even if we get lucky and win a cup, I just don't see Ange being a long-term solution for this club, just given the way the board operates and given the way he manages. So
part of maybe one of the points you brought up there about kind of the injuries, and like a lot of us have been saying this for a while. Oh, just wait till he gets, the injuries, a little bit lessened and he can get some of these players back. But it feels like every time we get a player back, we're losing another player, which is hard to say whether it is down to Ange or whether it is down to the medical team or something. It's down to somebody. But
yeah,
that's the other issue is like, will we ever get the players back? And if we don't, then we do have to look at the situation we're in and who could do better with the players they have available, which isn't a whole lot. Is you have almost more players out than you have players available, which is just apocalyptic. But I mean,
yeah.
that's the worry is when will Ange actually get his players back? It would almost be too late.
And I mean, I'm surprised Kulusevski's still, still going with no injuries, knock on wood, but everybody can tell he's exhausted. Same thing with Poirot. You cannot play the same players twice a week. Like, that's not going to work. And again, this goes back on Ange by not including Spence and Reguilon even in the Europa squad, or in the cup games playing starters, or when we're up 4-0, not bringing in the kids. Even right now, if I was Ange, I would play all 18-year-olds and say, hey, I have all the injuries. I have to rest players. I need players now.
Yeah.
But whatever he's doing right now is just not working. Again, it's not all his fault. I still stand by what I said earlier about the players not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
The mentality isn't there. Like, every time I look at Madison, my blood gets boiling. I don't want to see him at the club anymore. So the quality isn't there. The recruitment team is terrible. I don't know what Lange is doing. The medical team has been terrible for a long time. It's everything, top to bottom. So again, even though for me, Ange is not the guy, but as Conte told us, as we all know, it's not going to change until the board does something and changes, because everything is top down. The culture of the club is set by the board. They need, until they demand excellence, top to bottom, right? Excellence in recruiting, excellence with the medical team, excellence on the pitch. Nothing is going to change. So that's why at this point, I'm just super down on the club as a whole. I like Ange as a person. I liked what he was trying to do, but it's just, it's not working, unfortunately.
And so do you think that is an important question to ask, right? Would a manager take the current terrible situation and technically just pick up more wins? But also, it's not even pick up more wins in the Premier League. Would the next person that we would hire, could they technically do better against a Liverpool, against an Aston Villa, and also take us far into the Europa League? And that's another big concerning question is maybe Ange can get us away from a relegation battle, but who is the best person in charge to give us something to live for in one of these cup competitions?
I mean, on the micro level, if we just look at this season, perhaps if we get a different manager who looks at the squad and saying, I don't have the players to play this attacking football, let's just get some points. Let's just go be more defensive and, just get some results. I feel like, yes, that's possible, but long-term, that's not going to work either. Like, I've been having debates with people too. They're like, well, a new manager comes in and we're going to, compete for top 4 again. For me, that's not good enough. I don't care about top 4. For me, if we don't challenge, finishing 8th, 9th, 10th, it doesn't matter. I want to compete on a regular basis. So to answer your question, short term, possibly yes. We'll bring in somebody with a different style who can actually adapt, and we can steady the ship this season, perhaps. But long term, we're still going to be fighting for top 5, top 6. And so that's why I'm so down. I just don't see a solution. I don't see anything.
Long-term solution too, right? It's like kind of short-term and long-term.
I just don't see it. It doesn't matter who we bring in until the club changes the way it recruits, not, cutting wages, not bringing anybody in who is elite or very good, nothing is going to change. So, yeah.
I think we have to think deeper beyond or manager bounce. I think we do have to think, could a guy come in here, theoretically do better with the situation he has, in front of him, which isn't an easy one, but then also maybe in the long run, also just be a better manager, to pick up the project. And that's hard to find, in the next week or two, right? It just seems like Levy and Spurs are sticking by their
Yeah.
man, and fair play to them if that is the case. Then that does show real conviction and real belief, in the guy, and you can't fault that. Then if you are someone that really believes in Ange, then I think you have to give maybe some credit to the ownership in that case if they are going to just stick by him, continue to do it. The problem is they just haven't backed him with any sort of signings whatsoever this January window. They've once again let him out to dry. He's been asking for signings this whole window. So my question to you, Eugene, is will they actually bring in someone before the end of the window? Do you have confidence they will, or do you think Alistair Gold's rumor that they'll bring in a player is potentially BS?
I mean, it's criminal. Like, I am actually fuming. Like, as you said in the beginning, make a decision. Sack Ange, bring somebody in, bring some players in. If you are keeping Ange, bring somebody in for him. You cannot be in a relegation battle, and still be in the cups and not bring in any reinforcements.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes no sense to me. I mean, the rumor is that Paratici is out. He had a fallout with Levy over Lange. They didn't agree on transfers. I don't know what's true and what's not true, but it cannot be an accident where even the loans dried up. Other teams are doing business.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me that we cannot bring in at least one or two bodies. Just, it makes no sense to me. And the club is leaving Ange out to dry. Either sack him and bring somebody in and back the new manager, or keep Ange and back him at least for this season and sack him next season. Like, whatever we're doing makes no sense at all. I mean, the positive for me is that, at least now I can follow Ipswich scores and, Southampton scores. It's a battle now, so at least it's more exciting. We're not in the middle where nothing matters. Now it's a relegation battle. So
it's more interesting than a 9th or a 10th. Yeah, I guess.
Exactly.
Fair play.
But it's just, it makes no sense to me. As I was saying forever, and I repeat it every single time, Levy or Mon or Lange, someone has to speak to the fans and say, yes, we're going through tough times right now, and this is our plan. Because right now, we're stuck in no man's land.
Do you think the relegation battle is realistic, Eugene? Like, do you think we actually are genuinely in one, or do you think we're far enough away, players are coming back soon enough that it's maybe a bit of an exaggeration to say we are?
I mean, I was laughing at it. I was saying no way until the game yesterday.
Yeah.
But us losing to Leicester, that gave me, like, Everton, at least, Everton was away and it's a tough ground. So I was like, Ange has to go, but there's no way we're in the relegation fight. Losing to Leicester at home, that's a different thing. So again, I still think we have enough quality to stay up barely, but given what I'm seeing, and nothing's out of the question, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll be following, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton scores, and
Eugene.
Mental. It's mental.
Yeah, that's the position we're in. Is there anything you feel like you wanted me to ask you? Is there anything that maybe you had on your mind as well?
No, I mean, thanks for letting me on.
No,
on
thanks
my
for being
rant.
patient.
Yeah. But yeah, no, let's see what happens the next week with the transfers. But like I said, it's criminal not to do anything and just, keep status quo. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what Ange is thinking with his squad selection and running players into the ground. I don't know what's going on with this club anymore.
Yeah, I feel it, man. I feel it. Eugene, thanks for at least providing plenty of people therapy. Hopefully,
I feel better.
You got
Thanks,
it's same time next week. Same time next week, sir. And maybe we can get you on a pre-match build-up as well. It's definitely good to have some people who are still, I think, relatively, feeling like, Ange has maybe been hard done by and that type of thing. Because I think a lot of people have just pretty much lost their patience with Ange. But it sounds like you're kind of a bit in the middle about it, where you feel like it maybe is time up, but you don't really feel like it's been that fair on him, which
Yeah.
maybe has provided some therapy to a lot of people who are sympathetic towards Ange.
Yeah, like I said, I like him as a person, even for all his faults, but he's just, he's not it, given the way we do business, unfortunately. So
Yeah, maybe Spurs just aren't for him. It's the other way around.
Yep.
Ange it's not as Ange isn't for Spurs. It's more Spurs aren't for Ange.
I
We'll
mean,
find out though very soon.
Yep.
We'll see if he can continue to, to battle through this. Eugene, thank you, sir. Appreciate
thanks,
you.
Jack.
See you
Big
next
up,
time, man.
everyone.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up to Eugene, everybody. Good therapy from him, and he speaks really, really well, and I think he thinks about things very deeply. So everyone, do thank Eugene in the chat. I'm going to keep the show moving. Feel free to grab a fan show membership, anybody, if you do want to come on, have your say. Also, as well, if you've been given a fan show membership, consider making your debut. We're going to keep the show moving, though. We have Michael up next. Then we have Sean, then Jerome. Looking forward to speaking to you guys, and then Rhino afterwards. But let's get to Michael.
Jack.
Michael, how are you?
In life, okay. With Spurs, different thing, but I feel like I'm repeating myself with those introductions. So
not even repeating yourself. It's like a situation, that we talked about the previous week is almost just on steroids each passing week. It actually is getting worse. We're talking about a lot of the same things, but it just thinks like it gets more and more serious each passing time. So maybe the question I keep asking everyone to start off with, Michael, is how serious do you take this relegation battle? Is it serious, or do you not really look at it as one yet?
I think it is serious, right? I don't think we will get relegated, right? But when you look at our fixtures, right? When you look at the matches we still have to play until the end of the season, right? And with the current form we are in, I honestly, in certain places, struggle to see like where we pick up points.
Yeah,
right?
when's the next one coming?
Yeah, because I would expect us to pick up points against Leicester, right? At home. I wasn't.
Doesn't get much easier than that.
Yeah. Because there were plenty of people who said we should be slapping up Everton. I wasn't in that camp. They have a new manager bounce. They have David Moyes, who has like for the longest time been a bit of a thorn in our side when he was managing West Ham, right? He knew how to stifle us and all that stuff, right? And Goodison has never been a good hunting ground for us, right? Even though we have a good record against Everton, it's never been like a good place for us to go. I think we haven't won there for like 6 years or something, right? So
I was in the same boat with you about Everton too.
So Everton wasn't like a guaranteed points for me, right? But Leicester, I felt like we will beat them, right? And we didn't. And with those things in mind, with this context, right, you look at our next fixtures, like Brentford away, we probably lose that, right? I think we have like United at home. Who knows, right? United, they are also shit like us, right? But it's like, I think it's a coin toss, right? Then you look, seriously, guys, when you look at our fixtures, right, we still have to go to Stamford Bridge. We still have to go to Anfield, Villa Park, right? We still have plenty of tough fixtures up ahead, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we finished on something like 20 losses in this season or even more, right?
I mean, put it this way, actually. We're on 24 points at the moment. We have 15 games left. That would mean we have 16 points to get to 40, which is technically the point marker you want to reach to really guarantee yourself any safety. And that would mean in the next 15 games, we need to get at least more than 1 point. In fact, mathematically, technically, more than 1 point per game. The way we are playing right now, that is absolutely not happening. Us picking up like an average of 1 point something points per game. Right now, we're on like a trend of 0 points, whatever points per game.
As far as I've seen, Ange has something like in his. I don't remember what game span it was over, right? But I've seen somewhere that he has like 1.07 points per game. Right, I don't remember what the
that's
time
only
period
Premier
was,
League
right? Because I think it was without the 10 games, because I think still with those first 10 games at the beginning of previous season, I think he's still on something like 1.4 or something like that, right? Which is still bad, by the way. 1.4 is still bad, right? Like Conte in his first season with us, right? When he came, he had something like 2.1, and overall Conte in his whole career at Spurs had 1.8 or 1.75 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So it's bad, right? It's getting bad. But coming back to your question, right? I don't think we will get relegated. I think we'll be in a relegation fight, right? I don't think we are
Mhm.
moving away from that like number 15 spot, right? Because
Mhm.
plenty of people say we probably can still make top 10. I don't think we do, right? I think the gap between us and teams like Fulham, not only like the gap in terms of points, but also gap in terms of like player, like quality of games, right? And quality of play. I feel like it's just too big, right? I think this is somewhere where we end up, right? So my point is, right, I think whether we are in a battle or not, I don't think it matters, right? Sorry, wait, let me rephrase it, right? It matters that we are in a relegation battle, not that there is a chance that we will drop, right? The issue is that the club of our size should never be in those conversations, right? I always say it with like utmost respect to other clubs. You know that I respect other clubs, right? I don't even if I like hate opposition clubs like Chelsea or Arsenal or whatever, right? I am the one to praise where the praise is needed, right? So with utmost respect, we are not Crystal Palace or Norwich or or other clubs like that, right? We should never be in those conversations. This is the issue for me, right? And by the way, I agree with your previous callers, right? I've said it myself. I don't think what's going on right now is Ange's fault 100%, right? It's not 100% his fault what's going on, right? And you know my stance on the ownership. You know my stance on how trash the job they did was in the summer window, right? I like outgoings, fair enough. Although now with the context, right, they heavily weakened our squad, even in terms of numbers, right? And they just haven't bought players of enough quality to balance that those outgoings, right?
Yeah.
So
And haven't replaced with any real experience of any kind. You know, they replaced guys, whether you like them or not, who technically did have a lot of experience in the Premier League or experience at various levels. And the majority of the guys that we've replaced them with are kids who have half 6 months experience at whatever sort of level, you know, that they've come from, that only an 18-year-old would have, right? Not every 18-year-old especially is going to have experience at a Premier League club, you know, on a huge scale. So it's baffling.
And if they do, they cost 50 million, right? That's the market we live in, right? So listen, we can debate whether this injury or that injury is because of Ange's training style or because of his style of play. I personally think there are some injuries which were caused by the way we play, right? But there are also some injuries where they have been like impact injuries, right? Or like Vicario, it's not Ange's fault that Vicario broke his toe, right? Ankle, right? I think it was, right? It's not necessarily Ange's fault that I think Romero got a thigh injury, and I'm pretty sure it was an impact injury or something like that, right? It's not his fault. It's just the way the game goes, right? Sometimes you just have those, right? So it's not 100% his fault, right? But I think at this point, I don't think he helps in any shape or form with the way with the situation we are in.
He's not making it any easier.
He's not making it any easier, right? We are at a point where principles of football and you know, like the philosophy and all that stuff, it doesn't matter at this point, right? I couldn't care less what type of football we play, right? We need points. We need to start winning games, right? Because at this point we have the worst form other than Southampton, right? And Southampton are on course to be the worst team ever in the Premier League, right? With the points per game, seriously, with the points per game they have, if it continues for the rest of the season, they will finish worse than Derby finished, right?
Wow.
So they are on course
I didn't even
to
know
finish
that,
on 10,
actually.
right?
That's incredible.
But you know, it's looking at points per game, you know, calculating it based on games
sure,
left,
sure,
right?
sure.
I think they will. I think they will be better than Derby, right? Because having 11 points at the end of the season is an absolute disgrace, right? But let's not.
But it's another
stray away
fact.
from
It's
the
another
fact.
fact. It's another thing that you look at. You're just sort of like jaw drop. You're like, we actually are replicating the form of one of the worst teams in Premier League history. Like,
And-
whether they are the worst or not, it doesn't matter. It's just one of the worst teams in Premier League history. Quickly, Michael, though, like on the manager, do you think, and I've asked a lot of people this question, right? And I think it's an important question to ask. in the long term as well as the short term, because you have to think of both, I think. Do you think another manager could pick up this current terrible shit situation? Could they do better immediately, pick up some wins, get, our relative Premier League status a bit higher up so that we don't have to worry as much? But then also, could that manager do better in the cup competitions than Ange Postecoglou? So do you think technically someone could just pick up the reins right now and do better than Ange for the rest of the season?
That depends on like what do you define as do better than Ange, right?
I guess do
'Cause
better
at
than
the-
Ange would be he starts winning some of these games that are ahead,
Yeah,
or at least picks
'cause
up more, gets more draws, doesn't lose as many
Yeah.
games. Because that's the other thing, Ange doesn't draw; he only loses or wins. And
Yeah.
then the other element is the cup competitions, which I think he's really living off of this year. He's
Yeah.
taken us as far as the semifinal, pretty much has gotten us into the knockout rounds of the Europa League, at least allowing us to avoid the playoffs, hopefully. And then we are up against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. So, do you give Ange still a chance that he could do well in those cup competitions, or are you pretty much thinking we're going to get knocked out of those as well quite quickly?
Because I look at it, right? I would define better as picking some points, right? There is no manager in the world, right? Not Pep Guardiola, Antonio Conte, no one who comes in with this current situation and start winning like that, right? It won't happen, right? The state this squad is in right now, there is no manager in the world that just suddenly turns our fortunes, complete 180, and we start slapping teams, right? Because like the situation is so dire that we couldn't field the bench, right? Against Leicester, we didn't have enough players to put 9 players on the bench, right? This was the situation we are in. So considering those circumstances, there is no manager that just suddenly starts winning, right? But I think there are managers that can come here and stable the ship enough that we start winning the games we are supposed to win, right? Because like Leicester was the game we were supposed to win, in my opinion, right? I know Wolves at home is a bit of a bogey team for us, right? But Wolves at home is supposed to be a game where we pick up points, right? Like all points, right? Not only a draw. Because I don't think there is a manager who comes in and guarantees we win away at Aston Villa in the league, right? There is no one like that, right? With this current situation. But I think the issue is that the situation is so bad, and I feel like the morale of the team, Ange himself, right? When you look at him, when you look at like how he's squaring up to the fans again, I don't know if you saw the video where like fair enough, like I never like allow people to throw abuse out there, right? But the guy was screaming something like "we are going down with you" or something, and he just walks out of the tunnel and just stares, gives him a death stare or whatever, right? That means that he himself knows like how shit of a job he's doing right now, right? And that he is rattled, basically, right? Rightfully so, he should be, right? This is an unprecedented situation, right? So I think everything that has happened this season, even considering like how well we are doing in the cups, I think it warrants a change, in my opinion, right? And with those cup games that you mentioned, right? I have no faith about going to Anfield, right? I am not going to be. Sorry, I just have to answer because like Mateo, I'm not giving injuries as an excuse, right? It's not an excuse for me. That I know there are other managers with same amount of injuries or close to the same amount of injuries picking up points, right? I'm just saying it is a factor, right? It is a factor at this point, but it doesn't take away responsibility and it doesn't basically take away responsibility from Ange, right? He has to be responsible for those results, and I am putting like responsibility on him, right? And because we said that I was sitting on the fence, right? I'm off the fence, Jack. Sorry, like I think at this point there is no coming back. I just feel like the situation has gotten so bad,
off.
right?
Yeah, you've hopped
that
off
we
the
have
fence.
to. Yeah, that we have to change. Basically, that's my stance, right?
Just a final question, Michael,
Yeah.
and then I have to keep the show moving. But this is another important question I have asked everybody that I do think I need an answer from everybody from. Alistair Gold just recently said Spurs are still planning on signing at least one player before the end of the window.
Oh,
Do
boy.
you see that happening at all?
I think they will come up with something last day of the transfer window, but it won't be anything exciting. Like
Like a
don't
Danjuma.
expect, like a Danjuma deal or something like that, right?
Okay.
I just don't believe that this club has the intention of helping him out, right? I think Eugene mentioned it, right? That we are the club is in this like really precarious situation where they don't really want to back him, right? Because they don't want to spend money on him because he's doing so bad, right? But the situation is so bad that it warrants, grabbing players,
Warren's
right?
fixing with money.
Yeah, Warren's fixing with money, right? So right now I feel like our board, as always, has done the calculations, right? And they calculated that it's better not to back him, right?
Doing nothing is the best.
Yeah,
is
doing
the best
nothing is the best
action.
thing, right? It's honestly like fucked up, right?
It is.
So I think there will be like we will get someone. I don't know. I have no clue who, right? And honestly, with the way Lange operates, right? First of all, brother, you are at one of the
Complete
biggest
fraud.
clubs in the world, right? Just do your fucking job, right? And fucking bring us someone, right? But on the other hand, like with the way he operates, I don't believe any transfer rumors or whatever, right? Because we had plenty of those and none of them came true. And nobody said anything about
Good point.
Kinski, and suddenly poof, we have Kinski at our squad, right?
Good point.
So honestly, with this transfer window, I adopted
I don't even believe what Alistair Gold has to say, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's not like
exactly,
he got anything right over the summer last year.
Yeah.
It's a fair point, actually. It's a fair
point. Exactly. So I just approach it from like, if they are holding the share, then I will just then I will look into who they are, right? So because
great endorsement by Michael of this channel. Don't listen to the ITKs, just listen to the people blabbering opinions, and claiming not to be ITKs, because we can't act like we know what's going on in the club. And that's a very fair point, because they were all proven wrong over the summer. They got every single one of them wrong. And then this January, who's to say it's going to be any different? That's actually a very fair point. That made me chuckle. Michael, I do have to let you go though, my man. So maybe final words, and then I have to let you off, because I have interrupted you a couple of times. So I apologize.
No worries, Jacko. It's a dialogue after all, right? I actually enjoy like dialoguing more than monologuing, even though you know that I'm good at monologuing, right?
Nice.
If you let me speak, I can speak for 20 minutes, right? But
nice.
For me, right? Because I've been asked,
statement,
yeah. I've been asked about this by my friends who support other clubs, right? Like what my opinion on the situation is. And I'm at the point where the only thing that's left for me is apathy. I just feel apathy towards the club. I don't enjoy watching games, right? I think this is the worst that the fan can get, right? Where you just don't feel any connection with the club. And also like a good sign of how bad things are is when rival fans start feeling pity towards you, not, banter. Because, like plenty of people have been bantering us over December, and right now I just see pity all over the YouTube, right? So, this is the problem, right? We are in a situation where everything that's been wrong with this club for past couple of years has piled up on top of each other, right? We basically are the best example of a snowball effect, where a couple different things just piled on top of each other and formed a bigger snowball, right? And we are just in a free fall because the squad has been mismanaged, right? The transfer have been subpar. The manager is not helping it, right? We have one of the biggest injury crises in like Premier League history, I think, right? And all of this piled on together means that we are in 15th, right? So we need to change something. Preferably, I will always say, preferably is always the ownership, because they don't have the ambition, and they don't have a plan. They don't care about football. They don't care about fans with standards, right? All they want is to profit and build hotels and build apartment complexes, right? This is their priority. So preferably for me, like ownership is always the first thing I would love to change in
penultimate,
this club, right?
Yeah, penultimate.
But
problem.
Unfortunately, it's not as easy as me saying I want to change Daniel Levy and Daniel Levy just F's off, right? So we need to change
think about
something.
the other things that you can change as well. We
need to change something, and that something, unfortunately, is Ange, right? Because I will not accept this club like going on to relegation, right? Like respectfully, again, we are not Crystal Palace, we are not Everton, we are not Ipswich, we are not Sheffield United, right? We are a big-ass club with beautiful history, with still a good squad, a really good. I know it's ravaged by injury, but this is not a place where this club should ever be, right?
No, and it's like you said, the
unfortunately, we
problems
are,
that
right?
built on top of each other and stacked. That's a beautiful analogy, Michael. You think about things very deeply, sir, and I think a lot of people get good enjoyment from your call-in. So thank you. Thanks for being patient as well. Same time next week.
Yeah,
See
same
you,
time next
sir.
week, mate.
See you, Michael.
Bye-bye.
See you, man. Great call-in. Big up to Michael, everybody. He speaks so well, thinks about things really deeply too. So I think he gets a lot of good listeners. I think a lot of people tend to enjoy what he likes to say. So please, everybody, do thank him in the chat, as well as thank everybody that's been coming on, putting their voice out there, being brave, making sense of a shit situation, as well as also a very confusing one. I think it's not easy to be able to explain Spurs, when you have so many problems happening at once, all at the same time. What's the best approach? What's the best plan of attack? How do you work yourself out from this? Is there any sort of solution at all? That type of thing. So it's not easy. It's not easy. So well done to everybody so far. And we're going to keep this moving. We have Shawnee next. Then it's going to be Jerome, Ryan, and then I have Beto after that. But let's keep it moving. We got Shawnee.
Hey,
Sean,
how's
how
it
are
going? We're surviving. Yesterday was rough, but you can't do too much. We're just gonna sit there and hope that the board finally changes something.
Well, Sean, that's kind of the funny thing, right? Is the just the lack of actual action of any kind. And Michael was saying maybe that's their plan of attack this window, is they think the best action is inaction and not doing anything. They've chosen to neither back Ange nor sack Ange. What do you make of that? I mean, it is kind of crazy. You think one or the other, not sure which one is the right decision between backing Ange or sacking Ange, but doing neither seems like the wrong choice.
I mean, it almost feels like maybe the board themselves are a bit split. I don't think the board knows what they actually want to do, which is probably part of the inaction. But I also think at a certain point, Levy, I mean, the sentiment was getting pretty strong. So it almost feels like he's using some opportunity to divide the fans so we fight amongst each other instead of towards him.
I think, right now with Ange, what's kind of difficult for me, Sean, is I think what's holding him in the job is just where we are in the cups. And would another manager take this current situation, do better in the Premier League, first of all, but then also would they have a better chance of getting past a Liverpool, only knowing so much about the team, having to also kind of figure out which players they can trust, which players they can't. Like, are we just better off sticking with Ange despite how terrible it does look in the Premier League, knowing that we still are in 3 cup competitions and he's gotten us to that stage in these 3 cup competitions? Maybe FA Cup being a little bit generous there because we probably should have lost to Tamworth, but you know what I mean? Like, does Ange still have a better chance of getting past a Liverpool, taking us deep into the Europa League than maybe some of the other managers that we could bring in right now?
I have a hard time kind of grappling with that.
Me too.
Again, we're getting pretty far into these cup competitions, but it's almost like this Ange ball can only beat the big teams that go out and attack us, and we can't beat a low block, which is maybe why we've had a little more cup success, because we've drawn more Man Cities than Tamworths.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think that Ange is failing to get the most out of this squad. I think a lot of it comes down to his game management is generally atrocious. He's put out some of the worst lineups I've ever seen. And not from like a player availability standpoint, but from a players in positions that don't make any sense. I mean, we've seen countless times him trying to run Son through the middle against a low block, or a team that we have a pretty good idea is going to set up a low block. It has never worked a single time. yet he swaps out Richie, who's having a fairly effective game, to put Son, who's actually looking better than he has on that wing in recent months, in the center in a low block. And almost all of the attacks kind of die down at that point.
Mhm.
It's these types of tactical decisions that he seems to keep making that aren't working out. And it's kind of more of a, you can't keep doing the same thing and just expecting a different result. That's insanity.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
And it's those types of decisions that maybe make me question if another manager might be better off in these late stages of a cup. Again, I think most frequently we'll come out there with some type of game plan. It'll be going reasonably well for us. The opposing manager changes how their team is playing. And then Ange stands there like a statue. We don't adapt. We concede a goal, or we get close to conceding a goal. We can see the momentum shift, and then we continue to not change anything, and then the other team scores and wins the game. And we've seen that game plan in
I
a
think
lot of our losses. Like, again, I think people are saying that Ange has only lost by at most one goal, but a lot of those games have had the exact same script.
do
So
you
it's
feel
kind
like
of like we're making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, in terms of player personnel, which is kind of one of your first points, I could agree with that. With playing Sonny down the middle, just never has worked, and he sometimes still does it when it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think it's better just to play someone like Kulusevski down the middle if needs be. But also, I think you've had a long time an issue with him over the young players, right, Sean? You think there have been plenty of chances for him to try to lean on younger players. I think you've even gone as far as to say you would give him more time or more patience had he used younger players more often, but
Well,
he hasn't done that. I'm pretty sure that's a big criticism you've had of him.
yeah, I mean, I've had that criticism. I mean, one of the biggest problems we're having now is that everyone's like, we can't play the youngsters. They don't have any experience. We never bedded in a lot of those youngsters with enough minutes, where if we had been sprinkling them in like Klopp did at Liverpool or Pep does at City, then you have some extra play, a bit of a deeper squad, because you've gotten those players up to speed a little bit, and you have some more players you can rely on. Even with the French players, if Ange had done that a bit more, when there were those injuries, we'd have some guys that could get in to form a little bit quicker because they weren't entirely rusty, and also just a chance to rotate the squad. This group of players cannot play 80 games, so there has to be rotation, and Ange just hasn't done that. Again, it might slightly weaken the team at times, but is playing one of the youth squad players for 20 minutes so you can give a break to one of your forwards, putting you in a weaker position than not making any subs, your forward pulling his hamstring and being out for 3 months.
Sean, do you take the relegation battle talk seriously? Do you think it is an exaggeration, or do you think it is genuinely realistic that Spurs could be in danger of being relegated this season?
I mean, I think like most people said, it was really hard to kind of there, but again, we haven't been able to beat any side
Each week
in the bottom or just in general. Like, if you can't win games and you're not picking up points, and the teams below you are catching up and the teams in front of you are pulling ahead, you're in a bit of a relegation fight. Like, again, if Ange somehow manages to win one of these cups, or Spurs somehow manage to win one of these cups, we could pull a Wigan, we could win the cup and be relegated in the same season.
Yeah, it's generally absurd.
The sad thing is that's not that far off from a possibility if things don't turn around. I mean, theoretically, you have players coming back, but for every player coming back, it seems like there's another player injured. So it doesn't seem like the situation is necessarily getting a lot better, at which point then you have to get more out of the players you have available. And again, I think there were so many times where our failure to manage games has cost us points where we would be further up. I think some people will attribute a lot of these to individual mistakes. And while I think that's true in certain cases, there were a lot of times where you could see before an individual mistake that we were just losing momentum.
Mhm.
The players looked leggy and tired, and we didn't make changes or adapt to the changes of the opposition. And that's when we were vulnerable and conceded.
Mm.
So, again, I just don't think you can kind of rule it out until we start beating any of these teams. And I don't think Ange is the guy that can get it done. I've been saying most of this year that I just don't see Ange at the same level as some of the other managers that he's competing against, and especially the ones at the top of the table. And he hasn't done anything to change that kind of notion. I feel like more recent games are confirming that. And as more, because again, I was kind of more in the camp of I don't think he's the right guy for the project long term, but let's give him to the end of the season because we're probably not going to get a better manager in prior to the end of the season.
Mhm.
But
And then what do you make of the fact that also Alistair Goldshaw is saying, that we'll only sign potentially one player before the end of the window? Do you think that will even happen? Do you even see Daniel Levy bringing in another player for Ange before this window ends?
again, Spurs have enough money lying around in the couch cushions. They'll find someone. Whether it's an impactful signing, I think is a very different question. I don't think we're gonna bring in someone who's gonna make a massive impact. But again, if you don't get rid of Ange, I don't think it matters what one player you sign. Because again, I think he is the biggest problem at this club.
Mhm.
That the board will take action on. I think the board might be the biggest problem, but the board is not going to sack themselves.
Mhm.
So
Do you share the same frustration that Dave does with Johan Lange, that he's also kind of getting away with a lot of the criticism, or he's not been criticized enough, I guess, in Dave's opinion?
I think I've been buying more into Dave's narrative in this transfer window. It's hard because you never know exactly what's going on behind the scenes
Mhm.
in the transfer department and the club, and all of the reporters are saying different things. So it's hard to tell exactly who is responsible. But again, as the director of football, he has to be held accountable to some degree.
Yeah.
And whether or not he's a scapegoat because Levy is somehow wrecking everything behind the scenes, I mean, it's possible, but it seemed like when we had Paratici in charge, even if Levy was trying to interfere, stuff was still happening.
Mhm.
And I don't see that.
Yeah.
Again, I think it could maybe be that there's less happening because they don't believe in Ange. Again, apart from that first 10 games of the last season, we haven't looked entirely convincing for more than a game or two at a time since the start of last season.
Mhm.
Again, I think you can see flashes, and that's the frustration because it felt like we never pushed on, whether that was because we didn't bring in reinforcements. But I don't think that's entirely the case. I do think the squad actually got better between now and the summer. Whether or not it was the same level of investment that was maybe needed, is a different conversation, but it doesn't feel like the football has progressed.
Yeah.
The players don't seem any better at the system than they did after the Chelsea, or kind of the recovery period from at the end of the season, after kind of the injuries from that Chelsea period. And so again, if we're not moving forward, I don't see what the point of having Ange around is.
Fair play. Shawnee, thank you as always, sir. Best midfielder around. Thanks for helping me out. And hopefully you see well, actually, maybe not. That and the DC United cap is just making me think of which manager is headed there next, because I know that's Rooney's former job. Maybe you'll see Ange Postecoglou there sometime soon. Shawnee, pleasure as always, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping they don't send Ange here. Although to be fair, it'd be hard to make DC United worse. So maybe his attacking football with Benteke
be what the
leading
MLS
the front
needs.
line is the right way to go. I
Maybe
mean,
that's what the MLS needs.
I'll take one. I'll take one for the team. We send Ange here if it gets bad with Spurs.
Nice. Well, Shawnee, see you next time, sir. Appreciate
Come on,
you.
you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up to Sean, everybody. Do thank him in the chat. Also, like Michael, very deep thinker, and is also putting on a brave face and trying to make sense of this football club at the moment. So please, everybody, do thank him in the chat, and we'll keep this show moving. I believe we have next Jerome. Yes, we have Jerome. Looking forward to this one. Rhino, and then it should be Beto. Donovan Osterreicher, I know you sent in a comment. If you want to come on, certainly have time for you, my friends. Certainly always have time for you. You would be fourth in line after these next three guests. So if you're hearing that back, Donovan, that is the situation. And then if you hopefully have the link saved, because I did take it down. If you don't have it, then just text me or something like that. Or if you don't, I'm pretty sure you have my number. But if you don't, then email Dave or something, and then let me know, and then I'll just send the link your way. But let's bring on Jerome, who I know, is probably frustrated with the club, but also as well, might feel like there's maybe not the best sort of maybe defensive Ange going on at the moment. Don't want to speak for him, though, so let's bring him on. Hey, Jerome.
Hey, Jack. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you just fine, sir. I mean,
great. That's awesome. Sorry, I had to camera's just playing up. It's not working.
No, all good, man. It's kind of like you're like the other general. You're like Chris. So, it's Chris used to go no camera for a while. Jerome, I mean, I've had three important questions that I've been asking people. Right?
Yeah.
It's about sort of, will we even sign a player in this next week? Right? Because we're in the final week of the January transfer window. Another question is, would a manager do better with the current situation and then beyond? And then also, a couple others that I thought were important. I think one of the big ones, though, was, I saw you in the chat as well, kind of answer me very affirmatively about it. With the current situation Spurs are in, do you actually think, a manager could pick up this pretty shit situation and do a whole lot better, but then also do a whole lot better for the long term, which I think is an important point, right?
Plain and simple. No.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any better. No manager. You can bring Pep Guardiola. You can bring Klopp. You can bring anyone you want right now with this team down on their knees. We're not going to do any better. We are going to be in the same situation. We're going to complain again about the losses. It's going to be the same thing. Nothing's going to change at all. I'm sorry to tell you all, but any manager would come in. This team right now is on their knee. We saw it after the Hoffenheim game. I mean, Jack, seriously, were you confident for the Leicester game after you saw them? After you saw Gray and Bergvall on the floor?
Yeah, that's fair
and point. You're telling me you were confident to be coming to Leicester one day, not even 1 day rest. They came back at 2 a.m. and they had like even 1 day rest, and they had to go training and then for the game.
Yeah.
Would you have any confidence? I would tell you already, no. I had zero confidence we would have anything. The game started, we labored. They are all labored. We were lucky to go 1-0 up. But as soon as the second half started, like Dave said, if this goes on, we are going to get punished. And we did. We did get punished. That midfield there was a massive hole in it. The first half, we could see it. Like Ayu had like a free shot. There was a massive hole in that midfield. And it's like, we just could not go on anymore. So Any other
Sarr
manager
had a
coming
poor
in,
game. Bentoncourt was probably a little bit
Oh, yeah.
better of the three, but didn't have his best game.
Yes.
There were a few in there that didn't have a good game in that midfield. But Jerome, like my other question about sort of Ange, right, is
Yeah.
if another manager were to come in, they also would inherit, you know, a semifinal and a second leg against Liverpool. They would
Yeah.
likely be in the knockout rounds of the Europa League. They have this game against Aston Villa. Do you think a manager could pick up the situation and then do better than Ange would in these cup competitions? That's where I'm also a bit not too sure because Ange knows this team better than other people. You know, a new
but
manager comes in. Who's to say they outclass Arne Slot first match? That seems hard to ask.
Yeah, well, it's easy to say, but the thing is, with what players? That's the main question. What players do we bring in right now to say we can outclass Arne Slot with any kind of managers, right? So we can say, oh, we're going to have Romero and VDV back, right? But Madison looks like he's out with a calf injury. Richie complaining groin. And you know, groin, with his groin, if that starts again, he'll be out for a long time now. So which players do we have? What do we bring to say, or any manager that can say, with this players we have right now, how do we outclass anyone? I don't see anything happening unless we have a full squad back and fit. Then I would say, yeah, we could do something better. But the thing about Ange, what people are going on is, I just heard Sean, with all due respect as well, he's just built to beat the big teams. But last season, we won most of our games against the small teams. And then we couldn't beat the top 5. So now, before it was, he can't beat the top 5, he only beat the minnows. But right now, he can't beat the minnows, but he can only beat the big teams. Which one is it? You know what I mean? It's like, which one is it? It's a hard situation right now. It's a very hard situation.
Yeah.
Is he the guy to get us out of his crap? I don't think so. He's not built for this. He's not this kind of manager that's built to be like, oh, that's the team you have. That's the team you can get us out of this situation. He's not built for it. I don't think he is. Because for him,
maybe it doesn't matter though,
everywhere,
because we might not actually be in a relegation battle. Do you truly believe we are in one, Jerome? Because if we are in one, then that is worrisome for Ange because he's never been in that position before.
Yeah.
But if let's say you don't think we are, like 7 points you think is enough of a distance, you know, eventually we'll get players back and start picking up wins. Do you believe we are in danger of actually being relegated, or do you think that's a bit of an exaggeration?
My heart is telling me it's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But my head is telling me we are in a relegation battle. We are in a
The heart is
relegation.
telling you, is it?
Yeah. It's like my head is telling me we are in a relegation
It is like
strap right now.
danger.
Yeah. Because when you see the next couple of games, it's like, where do you pick up points? Where? Because Elfsborg, it's not going to be an easy game. It's like, even though we only got 10 points in Europa League, they beat Roma 1-0. They are quite decent when you look at them playing against the big team. Now they're going to come to us on the last game. They are going to be up for it. So that means we're going to have to give our all again, like against Hoffenheim. And then that means not enough time to rest, not enough time to train, and we are away at Brentford. Where do we get 3 points from there?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, the only thing is the board are a disgrace, because from the 31st of December, they should have done something. They should have had a long list of players ready to go and telling, okay, this is what we're going to do. If you look, I know we shouldn't be comparing, but Man City, look at them. They had an issue. They addressed it straight away and bring 4 players. Mamouche and the other defender. Look at Mamouche. Look at the difference he made against Chelsea. He didn't score, but what a difference. One player. What a difference he made there.
And lifted the
you're
whole
telling
team,
me we can't even bring one player, man. One player we can't bring. This is ridiculous. If you're telling me we can't bring one player, and Lange, come on, man. He is Steve Hitchen version 2. And all the nonsense of all the using system or whatever to bring young talent or whatever. Nah. Come on, you're Steve Hitchens version 2, and you're not even doing your job properly. He's a fraud. And when you look at Paratici, he was always on his phone, man. Every time the camera is on him, he's on his phone. He's non-stop. That guy, if you even ever saw him, last time we saw him, he's just there, sitting there with Scotland, nothing. Just sitting.
What was that photo of him the other month? He's like, someone's like buying jeans and they're seeing him outside, the stories, like, his sunglasses on, he's got the headphones going and everything, and he's negotiating. But Jerome, like, just on that, right? Like, do you then think we'll actually buy someone in the last week of this window, or do you think they'll actually genuinely? Do you actually think? Because I wouldn't put it past the Spurs to not even sign another player other than Kinski. Because Alistair Goldis said we will sign another player. But then Michael, if you heard Michael from earlier, Michael was like, well, all the ITKs have been wrong for the last 6 months. So who's to say even that's true?
That's true, because this has been going on like every single game we lose. Oh, we're back Ange. We are going to bring players. We're back Ange. We're going to bring players. We are what now? 28? Oh, yeah, here it's 28. 28 for January, right? And the window closing, what, 4 days? And it's like, what? Where are the players? There's nothing happening. It's like, I don't even know if it's gonna be something, it's gonna be a panic buy.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the most frustrating thing, though, Jerome? Like you said, on the 31st of December, Spurs and Levy, they pretty much had two options. One of them I know you wouldn't have agreed with, but they did have two options: either sack Ange, bring someone else in, give them, signings, give them, an opportunity to work with the team, see what changes they would make. Or you back Ange straight away by bringing in players straight through the door that you already knew you needed before even the January window was open. And they somehow did neither.
I agree with you there, Jeff. Because 31st of December, we should have made a decision. If Ange is not the right person, sack him. Get a new manager and then back the manager and bring players. They should have done that. No, we didn't. We are saying, oh, we back Ange, and this and that. Where is the backing? Where's the help? The guy has been asking for help. He's saying the team needs help. And it's true. The team needs help. Because this is ridiculous the way we're going right now. The injuries is ridiculous. I mean, like, how? This is criminal. How we can let this go on like this? And we all complaining about, it's like the players are not performing, or saying the players are not playing for the manager anymore. No. They are playing. You can see they're trying. But they can't do anything. It's like they cannot. Their body, they're human beings after all, right? They might be professional athletes, but they are human beings. You can see it. Their body can't cope anymore. Kulu just went straight down, straight down inside, because I think he could not be there anymore. He could not. He had to go and just rest, because he cannot. He's been playing so many games. Well, it's just ridiculous. It's like the board should have taken action already. I'm like, if we are trying to do this big game, this big team, saying, oh, we are this big team and everything, we should have acted like one. And we don't. They never do. It's like, what are we saying here? It's like we can bring any manager. We are going to be in the same spot 18 months down the road complaining about the manager.
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything.
Jerome, I mean, what else do you have on your mind here, sir? I mean, what else? You've answered my three very important questions. You've answered sort of what sort of signing would we get, if not any at all. You've answered my question about would another manager technically do better with this current shit situation, and then you also kind of answered about whether we're actually in a relegation form or not. So, is there a question that you wish I did ask you? And also, thanks, man, for being very patient tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, look, I think all I have to do in terms of Daniel Levy and everything, all right? What we need to say to Daniel Levy is, you are a great businessman. You've done wonders for this club in terms of business, right? But he had to let go of the reins. He had to let somebody else take over the football side, because every single decision that he made cost us in every single point. Now, look at us, because every time it is a PR nightmare right now for him. Mourinho came in and it's like, oh, it's Mr. Levy's thing. We had Conte that had this full rant about him, about the club, about everything that we stand for, and now It's another PR nightmare. He knows he failed the club for 24 years. He should have stepped down and said, you know what? I'm not good enough for this. I will only take care of the business side and then let somebody else take care of the football side. But he will not. He will not.
No,
So
no, he won't. He won't
failed.
relinquish any. Yeah, it's
He
crazy.
failed, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's only the fans that's going to have to pay for it. And the club's going to have to pay for it, because if we are in a relegation battle and Ange going to take us out of this, I don't know, Jack. I don't know.
It's bleak, man. It's very bleak. That's why I
Yeah, it's
didn't even
bleak.
know what the title was, other than it's just looking ugly, for
Yeah.
Spurs. But Jerome, thanks for putting on.
Thank
You
you.
wanted to put on your face, but you put on a brave voice. Thanks for putting on a brave voice. Thanks for making sense of this club, and as well as also just being you've been very good to Dave and I. Appreciate you, man, and just want to say
That's
thanks
all
for
right.
being patient as well. Thanks for waiting in line, and appreciate you as always, Jerome.
That's all
Class.
good.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
I'll see you soon,
ya.
sir. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Bye.
You too.
Big up to Jerome, everybody. I think he speaks a lot of sense. Very passionate Spurs fan as well. That guy really has seen through. I think he's been a Spurs fan for a lot longer than plenty of people might realize. I think he's been a Spurs fan, even before the 90s. He's still a young guy, but he's been a Spurs fan for pretty much ever. So he's definitely seen all elements of this club, and I think he's just getting fed up. Paul Vambin from earlier. Thank you, Paul, for the support, saying we will achieve nothing with Levy at the helm. I think a lot of people are just more and more, and you even said it earlier in the chat, Paul, that you're now officially pretty much Levy out. Like you maybe before had maybe more of a nuanced type of take on it, right? Maybe you weren't fully as Levy out as others are, but I just think Daniel Levy is just becoming unignorable for pretty much everyone. Whether you've defended him in the past, whether you feel like it's entirely his fault or not, it's just become him as the constant, in all of the problems Spurs have had. We've gone through cycles of managers, cycles of players, various cycles of directors of football. And what's been the constant, what's always been here has been Daniel Levy. And we're always talking about ineptitude, with the decision making. We're always talking about inaction, from the club. We're always talking about how the club doesn't have, that real desire, to really push for trophies and win things. At the end of the day, it's only been coming from one person, throughout this whole time. Yes, other people have probably contributed to those problems, but Daniel Levy's been the one constant in all of it. And I think it's becoming impossible for people to ignore. Everyone just has to sort of acknowledge it to some degree. Big up, though, Paul. Appreciate your support that's coming in. And we'll keep this show moving, though. Thanks to everybody that's still listening. Still plenty of people listening, so I do appreciate it. And just have, a few more guests to get through. I have looks like Rhino after this. Then I have Beto, and then I have the one and only, I think, Donovan, if Donovan is still coming on after that. But we'll go to Ryan next. Hey, Ryan, how are you, man?
Couldn't be better, mate.
Wow, okay.
Couldn't be better. What I will say is, to start this off, screw Ange, screw Lange, screw Munn, and fuck off Levy. There you go.
I think a lot of people feel similar to you, Rhino. How come you're feeling so good, though?
Because I keep telling you every week that we're going to lose, Jack.
Well, plenty of times when you have, then we have won, but...
Yeah, but recently?
I mean, I'm probably been in the same boat with you recently. I have not been thinking that we've been, I definitely have not been giving us any chance recently of winning games. For you, Rhino, right now, man, we have 1 week left of this January transfer window. The rumor from Alistair Gold has come that we will sign another player. Do you actually hold any hope that we will sign another player before the end of the window? Then I have a follow-up question for you after that.
I'm going to be going down the same route as I always have said. Don't give this clown any more money. Don't give this clown any more money. What you should do at this point, yeah, right, is just give him his compensation for what he deserves and just go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think Daniel Levy can still cut ties with them now? Do you think he's still considering it?
He should have cut ties with this clown a long time ago, Jack.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right, Ryan? Is I was asking Jerome earlier on December 31st, night before first day of January. He kind of had two decisions in front of him, Levy, right? Either sack Ange or back Ange, and he's done neither.
do you know what? Right, I'll say this for a split. Sorry, hang on. I've got these two fighting each other. All right, you two, stop. Yeah, sorry. Right, what I will say is, right, Levy should have done what Levy is good at doing, sacking. But he does it with all the better managers. But to this clown, no. And do you know what? The day that Ange gets sacked by Levy, I'll be Levy in for 5 minutes.
That's actually pretty funny. The one thing you would concede to Levy is that he's quite good at sacking managers, and now you want him to do the one thing he is good at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Levy needs to sack the man in the mirror, says Jason Bell.
So?
Levy needs to sack the man in the mirror, says Jason Bell.
Levy just needs to... Like I said, I'm not going to repeat what I've just said, literally, about what I think about Levy, but... Because all right, I'll take you out after, you stupid food. Yeah, so like I said, like, he just first of all, he needs to get rid of this clown. This clown needs to go.
What do you make of the fact, though, that, they have, I guess, done neither? Does that mean Daniel Levy is maybe slightly unsure about him? Like, he doesn't want to give him any more players, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily want to sack him because he knows what happens if he sacks him. There's going to be a lot of attention brought on to Daniel Levy. Do you think I've said this to you before, Ryan, I've asked you this question. Is Daniel Levy maybe using Ange as a shield for all the criticism that he knows is coming his way?
Yeah, he is. And you know what? It's funny because I can tell you now what's going to happen now, yeah, right, Jacko? Right, and this is just something I can see happening, right? The minute this clown goes, it'll be the right decision, but then everyone will then start turning their attentions back onto what we should be doing before this clown came in, and actually have got this other clown out. It's literally a circus. Best way I can put it. It's a circus.
And then, Ryan, do you actually think we are in a relegation battle, man? Like, because, some people think 7 points, when you're talking about relegation teams, right? 7 points can be a pretty big, difference between. It's a good distance, but we've just lost, man, to Leicester. We've lost to Everton. We've lost to Wolves. We've lost to all the teams that, in a way, are in that relegation battle. So how seriously do you take it? Some people seem to think it's, yes, it's dangerous, but we're not actually in it yet. Some people think we already are in the midst of one. What do you make of that? Are we actually going to get relegated? Would you put your money, would you put your house on you getting relegated? Or do you think Spurs are going to survive the season somehow?
Look, right, you got to look at the form table of the last 10 games, right, that Sky have put up, yeah? We're 19th, Jacko.
We're not 19th. We're not 19th. We're 15th or 16th.
In the form table, no, I know that. But
form
in the
table.
Sorry.
My bad.
I know we're not in the league.
My bad.
But if you look at the form table, we are the only team that is worse than us, and that's Southampton.
Yeah.
The form table doesn't play either.
Yeah.
So yes, is the answer to yours. We are actually in a relegation battle, and if we don't hurry up and change this stupid thing around and get rid of this clown, we are going to be playing the likes of Millwall next year.
And then Ryan, what manager? There are not so many really available. Is there a manager that you have been thinking about that is available that Spurs could go try to bring in for the time being? Would you just try to get someone in would you bring in someone for the long term right now, or would you bring someone in just for the short term, just to see out the rest of the season?
No. I would not be bringing anyone in for a long term until the end of the season.
Yeah, you think it's like someone just to save, kind of fire extinguisher type of manager? You would bring in? Yeah.
Oh, and I've said this to you, God knows how many times. There's only 2 managers that I would have at this club at the moment, interim managers at this club at the moment. And I know people keep going on saying, oh, well, Ryan Mason ain't that good. He's only got his small professional. He hasn't even got his qualifications. I don't care. Just get him in. He is better than this clown. And then also Harry Redknapp. Have either one of them two. Have one of them two come in. Boom. Our season saved.
Who was the other guy before Harry Redknapp? I might have missed the name.
Ryan Mason.
Ryan Mason, you think would do better right now?
Yes. I don't think I know he would do better, Jacko. There's a difference. There's a difference between thinking and knowing. Because even, you know, it just tells you everything you need to know.
No, I mean, I don't think you might be alone in that opinion. I think some people probably would go as far as to say that Mason would technically do a better job. My problem with Mason, though, Ryan, is...
I will alliterate this, though. I would rather have someone like Redknapp in realistically, but if he's not going to come in for the last 4 months of the season, I will take Ryan Mason all day long. Definitely.
Yeah. And I guess that's the answer to even Jason Bell saying who would actually take the job. Brian's is willing to go as far as to just take Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason is always an option. He technically is always an option. My issue with having Ryan Mason, though, is he's already been a part of the staff. So, like, the players aren't necessarily, in my opinion, going to get a huge manager bounce because it's not really a new face or anything like that. It's not really like a fresh influence on the team. And then we already know he's a guy that likes to play maybe guys that are, you know, maybe his friends or people that he might trust more than others that aren't necessarily better players or anything in the team. Because remember, in a cup final, he brought Harry Winks out of the fray and brought him into like a cup final to play, right? That just is how ridiculous that guy Mason is when it comes to maybe the preferences that he might have. So my issue is I don't know if you actually, with Ryan Mason, I think what you're looking for is a new manager bounce type of form. And I don't know if you get that with Ryan Mason. I'm not sure.
Look, Jacko, I'm not even looking for a new manager bounce at the moment. I'm just looking for
we need to survive? Isn't that what we need to survive relegation, though?
No. We just need to be tight at the back and someone who's actually competent, knowing how to actually have 4 men behind the ball. 4 defenders behind the ball, sorry. And not up in the halfway line.
I think what I mean by new manager bounce is technically we would pick up wins and therefore we would pick up points. And that's what we need in order to get out of the relegation.
But we would still be able to pick up points because we'll be getting a lot more draws, Jack.
Okay, fair.
See what I mean? See where I'm coming from with Ryan Mason. But then, like I said, it's a poison chalice, whatever. Which this club's worse than the England job at the moment because
poison chalice.
I'm at the point where I'm gutted that Tuchel didn't come in at the beginning of the season because we would have had a whole different season at the beginning of this season if we had just got rid of him, got rid of this clown and brought Tuchel in. I don't care whether it's defensive football. Everyone needs to stop being scared. And this is the thing. Everyone needs to stop being scared of playing defensive football because playing attacking football, yeah, right? Only Man City can really do that, or Liverpool. So everyone needs to start realising that we're not Liverpool, we're not Man City. We need to be able to play to our strengths at the moment. So everyone needs to stop being scared about playing defensive, boring football. Because we need wins, and wins They say strikers get you goals and defenses get you league titles. But
right now we're just trying to get out of a relegation scrap. So whatever does that.
But it also can go the other way, right? Strikers get you goals and defenders keep you up. Because we're too good to be in this position, though, Jacko. That's the thing. We are so good with the players that we. I'm not saying we're a top 4 team, but we are much better than where we are at the moment, and that's down to the clown and his clownish tactics, kamikaze tactics, whichever way you want to put it.
Or making the players look a lot worse, in your opinion. Yeah. Brian, thanks for waiting patiently, sir. Yeah. At the moment, I'll answer your last question. Definitely not happy clapping. Haven't been happy clapping for a few weeks. Hopefully after Elfsborg, I will be for maybe a very, very temporary period, but it's not looking good anytime soon, man. It's not looking good anytime soon.
Well,
Appreciate you, man.
I
Thanks
can
for being
soak up your
patient.
misery then. I can soak up your misery then, Jacko, because at the moment I'm enjoying it. Just what
Use it as fuel.
week in, week out, because that's exactly what we're being. They're proving me right, so I'm going to keep enjoying it. Simple
Yeah,
as.
Use my misery as fuel. You're welcome to do so, as well as anybody else that's watching. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, man. See you next time.
You too, mate. See
Come
ya.
on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Big up to Ryan, everybody. Please thank him in the chat. But we're going to keep this show on the road. We have, after Ryan, let me make sure I have Beto next. We'll be getting a debut. Looking forward to this one. And then after that, I think Donovan. By the way, Donovan, in case you're still listening, you are next after Beto. And if I don't see you in after Beto's 10 minutes is up, then I will have to end things. 2 hours in already as well. So, I'm not necessarily going to be waiting around too long. So, hopefully would love to talk to you, Donovan, because I know you're going to definitely provide me some therapy as well as some others. So make sure to hit that link, dude, and get in here. But yeah, we'll go to Beto. Hey, how we doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. You sound great, by the way. Looking good. Love the old kit from a bygone era. What was that? 2021, 2020?
Yeah, yeah, man. It was my official first jersey that I got for Spurs, because I was a Spurs fan when Jermaine Los Santos was playing for the team.
Dude, that was one of the reasons I became a Spurs fan. Was because of because of Modric. Really, it was because of Modric, Bale. But then I also have a big soft spot for Mexico. So once we had Dos Santos come through, I knew I was hooked. But no, sadly, right now, man, it's something that you probably have gotten quite used to as a Spurs fan. You're having to solve a dumpster fire of a situation here. Where do we start, man? And where I've been kind of getting people started off with is, do you actually think we are going to get relegated? Do you think we are in a relegation battle? Am I exaggerating things? Am I clickbaiting this, Beto, by saying that this is a relegation battle? Or do you think we are in one?
I mean, it's like you would have asked me, the start of the season, I would have said, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it, how it's been going now, I don't feel like we're in a relegation battle. I think we're in a battle against ourselves, to be honest, internally, because these players, they don't know what to do. They're asking for time off. Who knows? They're out of energy. This Kulu exhausted.
Yeah.
These needing to find their own way to recover. There's no. I mean, I would say, like, our physios can't give them a regimen. Like I don't know. I've never been to England, but I've seen the facilities we have, the state. I mean, fuck. I mean, that's why the fans will still keep going. That's why those seats are always going to be full. Why? Because it's a state-of-the-art stadium, one of the best stadiums in the Premier League.
Yeah.
In the sense of how many people could fill it up, what tourists come through. I noticed that a lot of the Koreans are coming down and, showing some love, but not only that, but also falling in love with the team. So we're getting it's the hot commodity for other people in other nations. Well, totally. But we're a shit show right now. And I'd say, honestly, returning to your answer, and I don't want to divert too far off, but it's depressing, man. It's really depressing to see. I mean, granted, Spurs have never been a team to that they had their own inspirations to go ahead and get something going. I mean,
yeah, the
fans, if we could put a shirt on and fucking put in 2-3 minutes in the game, I mean, we'll fucking be better than them. I feel that. I mean, seeing players like Timo Werner, man, I mean, we deserve relegation. We're playing a guy like that. We're bringing a guy from. We went to the abyss to get this guy. Try to refill his contract, bringing him back to the Premier League where he didn't have a good season. He played in Chelsea. He shit the whole fucking time he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're bringing this guy back, telling him what? We're expecting him to do something? I'd rather Lancashire. I mean, Mikey Moore. I mean, I don't know what's Ange's fault. Like, what's the problem with these kids? Like, play the fucking kids. We're in a relegation. Why? Because you're letting these guys, you're letting that engine, you're seeing the fucking check engine light on.
Yeah.
Prior to it fucking up, prior to even it going on, you are understanding, if I keep on using this car, going up this hill, going up this fucking hill that I have, the car's gonna fuck up.
Great analogy. Isn't that basically the situation we found ourselves on December 31st, right? Was you either dump the car, get a new one, or you got to put some gas and put some work into it to get it up this hill. But we decided to do neither and just close our eyes and put our foot on the floor, the pedal, and look what's happening. We're sputtering out.
Spot on, man. And I mean, that right there, attending to the little maintenance things, doing that little oil change, lubricating things up, making sure things are on point. I mean, you see players like Van de Ven who could run up and down that field, make recovery runs. I mean, he's doing that for half of the season. He's been trying to save us. He's the reason why we haven't lost so many of these games. We haven't gone down to so many points when he was there. I mean, Romero, I love the guy. He's passionate. He wears his heart on his sleeve. But the thing is, Van de Ven and him are the best duo we ever had. Since we had Toby and
Jan
Van Targen. Those were the best defenders, but because they knew how to play each other. And they not only when they went on international break, they're getting two different playing styles. Mm-hmm. So it's up to them to decide which one they want to play. These players are relying solely on the manager. They don't have will of their own. I mean, you see these guys attacking you. Dragushin, Archie, with respect, they're dropping back. Like when we were being attacked, that second goal, nobody's going out. I mean, Romero would have fucking slid and fucking destroyed the guy, got a red card or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we miss, like the heart. And I feel like the kids that are coming up, they need to get a chance to go in, man. Because, I mean, we're at the stage where I'd rather see a lineup of fucking kids and having our guys that are potentially, we call them legends now. Kudu, Pedro Porro, he's been fucking up. Why? Because he has no reason to play better. Nobody's there to him. Nobody's pushing at his heels where he has to get better. We're forcing him to get sharpening up his tools. We don't have but the fucking kids. I would play the kids, man. I would play. We already have Archie Gray right there. Let him get used to the kids. The kids, I don't know what it is, but when you have a bunch of kids in there, they know how to gel together. They know how to play together. I mean, they'll pay attention to this form of this style of play, that these tactics that Ange has. These kids will probably take advantage of it more. They'll want to go out there. I mean, look what Arsenal's doing. Sorry to mention it, but look what Arsenal's doing. Bringing in the kids.
Yeah. Do you think Ange is really missing the trick there? Do you think he would have bought himself even? I know Sean has said this before, that he would buy himself actually more time, more patience from the fan base had he used the kids more often.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Because then these L's that we're taking against Ipswich, these losses that we're taking against Crystal Palace, like, I would say, fuck it, Yeah, we needed to rest Romero. We needed to rest Van de Ven. We needed to rest Vicario. We needed to rest players that needed to get a rest. Well, granted, Vicario would have never rested him. He's fucking legend. Playing with a fucked up toe, playing with a fucked up ankle, and finishing up the game like that. Granted, it's against Man City. Everybody shows up when it's playing against City. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't play the kids in the big game. I'll play the kids in the games where relegation. You're playing against Ipswich. Put the kids in.
Or when he's run into injury issues, right? And he's maybe pushed some guys, right? Like, he's maybe pushed some guys to the red zones when he probably could have just given the first 45 minutes or something like that to a youngster.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure there's a moment when the players could come into the office and be like, "Hey, Ange, like, hey, man, I'm trying, but fuck." They probably won't. No one's gonna come out and say, "Hey, I want to rest. I want to rest." They're gonna keep on out there and having a shit game. Who do that? Yeah. But it's up to the manager. It's up to the assistant. It's up to these coaches that he has on the sidelines that aren't just guys that are just there. They gotta be also being able to look at the players and manage the players and manage the player management. I can't
man. Totally do.
Epitomize it, man. And honestly, going back to it, I mean, look at what's going on with Son. I mean, that's the epitome. He's one of our legends. He's one of the best strikers, wingers we had. I mean, became a striker because out of default, but poor guy like that, killing himself, running himself to the floor every game. He looks like he's done, but he won't trust Mikey Moore. I mean, I would give Mikey Moore a chance. Let him out there. I mean, when Madison rated him and said that it looked like we had Neymar on the wing. That's quality. That's keys to get him out there. Lancashire playing against Galatasaray, but can't play against fucking a fifth division team, and I mean, that like shit like that, dude. Is like,
Yeah,
you
I'd say the
gotta be
Tamworth
fair.
one is even a good example. As much as we needed to win that game, like, did he really need to throw in a bunch of players that already were super tired, already were kind of effed off, kind of just done as it is? Like, he could have just given that to maybe guys that really would have taken that and gone into that game with some real intensity and desire. Not saying we would have smashed Tamworth or anything from it, but you would have thought maybe the performance would have at least been a bit more inspiring. Like, we couldn't even score goals inside 90 minutes against a Tamworth team, with pretty much close to one of our better teams. And that was a real,
Hey,
real worry.
that's
Just a question though, Beto, that I think is an important one to ask you, man, is on Ange, do you think another manager could pick up this current situation, do better for the rest of the season in the Premier League, but then also take us further in the cups? Or do you think Ange, it's already too late, it's cooked, you kind of just have to stick with the guy? What do you think?
Oh shit, man. Answering your first question, man. Another manager. I've seen. I was watching, the championship, some of the championship games. I'm not saying bring a guy from the championship to come join to manage a team, but it'll be a big statement if he does. In the sense of you want to interim, those guys are willing to. Those guys are willing to change their tactics, willing to play in the Premier League. I mean, look at Hull City. Hull City was destroyed. I think it was who did they beat? I think Sheffield United or no. They destroyed them. They were second. I forget. It's but they got them to lose. I mean, they won them 3-0. I mean, they were looking good. These Portuguese managers, I would take somebody. I mean, anybody that's willing to take these reins. I mean, I don't know who personally, but I know if that offer was to be given to any manager capable of getting dubs, capable of making something out of these players. I mean, any manager that's willing to play with kids, simple as that. Any manager that's willing to play with what he got. I mean, if you look in your toolbox and you need to change something, make a difference, and all you have is fucking screws or crowbars. Use a crowbar. I mean, find a way, find a method. I mean, we have Callum Olise in the bench. Play him. Why not? Give him a go. He's on the bench. I mean, he's on the bench. He plays a position that we need in the field. We're driving. I mean, Bergwald's going to end up getting injured too.
Yeah.
Pape's playing how he plays because he's like the kid on the bench. He's admiring me. The kids on the bench are admiring these players, and I wouldn't. If I'm on the bench and I'm looking at these players play the way they play, game day in, day out, every game, playing against how they played against Tamworth. I mean, I would be telling the coach, "Hey, put me in, put me in," because I would do this. I mean, those kids they won the league in the U20s, the U18s. I think. I mean, they're winning. There's our academy. We have so much potential. I mean, they're going out to other teams and balling out. They're going out to Chelsea. They're going out to Man City. They're going out to Brighton. They're going out to these second division teams in the championship with Leeds and all that. We're getting rid of these guys when we should be giving these guys a chance to play. I mean, Ashley Phillips, one of the guys, he's the center back.
Yeah,
fucking guy.
Use him right now. Could definitely use him.
Simple as that. I mean, also, what's his name? Welsh guy. Welsh. What's his name? Center back. Welsh. What's his name?
One Ben Davis, the one we have now.
No, not Ben Davis. The center.
Joe Rodon from the past.
Rodon, yeah. Never played him. Came in. I mean, the guy never got a chance. I mean, I would say like all these defenders that we have. We have a couple. I mean, go to the fucking academy. Get some left backs. Get a couple right backs. I mean, ask for one of the guys that are there. I mean, who cares? Give him a chance to play. I mean, you need a player. You're gonna run this guy down. You're gonna kill Poro. I mean, Poro's already messing up, making mistakes. Put a kid there. These guys aren't. Just put a kid right there. I mean, have them realize. Look, and I play soccer and also I coached. Just real fast. When I knew kids that I believed and had faith in didn't want to play, I will put the guy that's the worst player out there that can't even give a pass. I will put him out there and I will tell him, just do this. And he will do that because he knows that any given day, that's all he needs to do. He knows, okay, I just gotta listen to coach, and that's all I gotta do.
Trust the coach, make it simple. Yeah.
18-year-olds, you put them out there, they'll do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Beto, is there anything that you wish I'd asked you? Your time is coming to an end here, and then I have Donovan as last one. Great debut, by the way. Continuing that trend of no such thing as a bad debut. You smashed it like everybody else does. So fair play to you. But is there something you wish I had asked you?
I seen you ask all the other guys and about relegation, and some of the guys had good points. Jerome had a good point. Michael, even Ryan. All these guys had great points when they came on, and I feel like, man, like we've gotten to the stage where we're more like, us as fans. We know where the gaps are. We know where the trash is at. We know where shit's fucking up at. It's like the leaks there. I mean, look at Man United. Man United, their whole stadium's falling apart. But they got rid of Anthony. They're getting rid of Garnacho. They're getting rid of Rashford. They're gonna bring in 3 new players. They got Ugarte. They got youngsters coming in. Yeah, their place is falling apart, but they're better off than us. And going back to that, I mean, we need one signing. I'll take one more signing, or play Yang Hook. I mean, you got him for a reason. Play somebody, man. Like, I mean, I would say just play some of the players that are there. We bought Yang Hook in the he's one of the. They're gonna say, oh, he's one of the signings. Losing against, okay, I wish you would have told me that, man. How do I feel about these losses? Losing against Everton, losing against Leicester, man. I mean, before that, struggling against teams, not being able to finish our food against Newcastle, in the beginning of the season versus Leicester, like not being able to finish our fucking plate. Like, I mean,
that's been a theme all season.
Yeah, we need a coach that knows. Honestly, we need a manager. I'll take any manager that knows how to just say, get crosses in, cross that fucking ball in there.
Yeah.
Rich, when he got that, I was like, fuck yeah, because I said, you know what, he's back. When I saw that header going, I'm like, he's back. He's back. Richie's back in action. But you're giving him the chance to just say, oh, I'm injured, I'm fucking hurt, this and that. Oh, my fucking growing on my leg. Why? Because we're a shit team. Because he's like, I'd rather just be out at home watching Netflix, doing whatever I gotta do watching the favela videos and getting my contract, just getting my wages up. I mean, that's what the players are now doing. Aldebear
checking out.
That guy, he's quality. I mean, we got. I don't know. Going back to it, I just want to make it short. I appreciate you for having me on, Jack, but just. I mean, it's a shit house. It's a shit show, but I'm here to fight a storm.
Hey, man, I would love to see you back next week to make sense of it again. We need more people. We need more voices. We need more opinions. So I would love to see you back on.
In the back of my shirt, just real quick, this is the Ndombele shirt.
Oh, dude. Oh, man, I think of him on the daily. I think of him on the daily.
When I got it, I was a firm believer that he would come through and he was gonna do the technical thing. But the thing is, I knew that he was not a runner, but he will technically be able to. He'll find gaps. He was the Ndombele kind of guy.
He was the best player that never was. I think at Tottenham Hotspur. Really, I think the best player that never was. More talent than pretty much any other player we've had in their thumbnail.
Looking at his little moments when we had Steven Bergwijn and we had him in the middle. He took three or four guys against Man City. He did a crazy Cruyff turn and got rid of.
I was a huge Ndombele fan. Plenty of people from this channel would know that. So I'm looking forward to, man. I would love to, maybe when we have less important things to chat about, maybe yes. we can glaze over Ndombele. I would love to be doing that.
Right on.
Big up to you, Beto, man. And is it Roberto? Do you go by Beto? Is that okay? Is it Alberto?
Because my real name is Adalberto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Beto's cool. It's like in Mexico and
yeah. In Texas, I know that's a very common name in Texas.
Yeah, they'll use that as your middle name because they rather not be Gilberto or Heriberto, So Beto's fine.
Good man. Alrighty. Well, I look forward to seeing you next time. Hopefully, Dave can have a chat with you, and it's not just me as well. So yeah.
That's why I've been following the channel. Just real quick, sorry.
No.
I've been following the channel for like. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Dave and I saw you guys come on, the Spurs, what is it, the Tottenham
Probably
show.
Weird Time TV. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, with him and Ben. I'm like, man, this guy, he's an Irish guy, and he knows more about the team than half of the fucking guys that I know, that I've seen, and he has so much knowledge. David has so much knowledge. You have so much knowledge. You're growing more because with him, he's so knowledgeable. He knows about the ins and outs of shit that I'm like, God damn, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know about the kids, and I'm just, I love it, man. I'm part of the show, and that's why I became a member, because it's worth these $4, $5, $6, $7. I'd rather give it to you than to waste it on a beer that's gonna get me through
man,
the
it's really
Tottenham
kind.
game. But I'd rather get through the Tottenham games right here like this, man. And
Thanks, man. That's really kind of you. That's really, really kind of you. Well, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better and get to know you more, sir. So,
Yeah.
hope this isn't I would love to see you next time. I'm calling for you to, clear the schedule. See you next time, sir.
right on. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Beto. Great job as well. Great job.
Thank
See
you.
you, man. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Yeah.
Big up to Beto, everybody. Absolute legend for that. Made his debut. Somebody made their debut as well. So I'm glad that someone did. Someone answered the call, and I think he smashed it out of the park. So please, everybody, flood the chat if you're still listening, if you're still listening along. Thank Beto. Give him some encouragement, because I want to see him come on next time. So please, everybody, if you could do that for me, be a big help. And we'll finish things off with a regular, someone who you're already very familiar with by now. We're finishing things off with the closer here, Donovan Osterreicher. Dono, how are you? Oh, you might be on mute there.
Regular, but not regular enough to get it. Hey,
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've had internet troubles today. Dono, man, where do we go from here? I mean, I have 3 big important questions if you've been listening along. One of them is about the transfer window. The other one's about Ange. And then I have another one about the relegation battle. Maybe I'll start off first with the relegation part. Do you actually think, realistically, Spurs could get dragged into a relegation battle? Do you think there is a chance Spurs could get relegated this season or not? Do you think that's just still out of the question? Not possible.
Yeah, it's fun to joke. I'm in your camp in a way where let's laugh at our pain. Let's have a little bit of gallows humor. Try and a copium our way through this. Sorry, by the way, I woke up with a bit of a sore throat yesterday, so it's a bit scratchy.
Okay, thanks for pushing through for me.
Yeah, I had no problem, man. It's Jim's still waiting for me, so I gotta keep going. But the way I look at it, dude, is you said it yourself earlier this show. I caught that last little bit where you said that 7 points is a big difference between some of the clubs of this stature, or the ones that are going to be looking to get down in the relegation area. 7 points, or even 10 points. We'll say 10 points. That's 3 wins, and winning a game in the Premier League for some of these clubs is really difficult. We think that we like to look at ourselves through this lens of this kind of tunnel vision, because it's Tottenham, it's what we live, and it's our club that we breathe and die for, and fair enough. But the reality of the fact is that, some of these clubs that come in, we think that we have a problem getting players. Well, they're getting players from League 3 in France, or League 4 somewhere else, and they have no ability to really build a good squad together. And then they play this brand of football that's good to get them out of the championship, and then they get to the big league, and then it's just all broken apart, and it's boom, done. It's like that. You ever get that project? Every school did this, where you go in and then you have to build this bridge, and then the teacher puts a weight on it, and if it holds, it holds. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that seems to be the projects for all these upcoming yo-yo clubs. So long story short, I don't think Tottenham Hotspur are anywhere near that level of dysfunction. We are dysfunctional, don't get me wrong. If you look at the top 4, 5, 6 clubs, the way they run their business, even some of the mid-table clubs that have historically overshot what their weight class is, the Brentfords, we're coming up against them next. Thomas Frank has done absolutely amazing. That's a good example of a board that's pick their moment to trust somebody, but pick the right person to trust. I think Thomas Frank's a very astute manager, and the way he's a man, and the way he goes about his business. Yeah, and Brighton, what they've done, and how they've had this amazing sustainable scouting selling model. So when it looks at Tottenham Hotspur, yeah, we're a dysfunction city, right? It's really scary to look at. But to go back to your original question, 10 points, 7 points, that's a lot of ground to make up for teams for the whole season. I'm not just talking about one game, I'm talking about for the whole season. Sometimes some of these teams are so tactically inept and so far off from the level that needs to be in the Premier League that you look at their season and sometimes they can't even pick out 4 or 5 calendar wins. So we're not at that level yet. We're blessed as a club where let's start with the end in mind. So let's say we're going to stay in the Premier League. Well, let's look at these boards, look at the results, and let's try and pick 5, 4, 3 wins that we can get going forward. I know it sucks it's come to that, but that's where the reality is, that it's two different levels, 2 different thoughts of pattern here, and we're getting reinforcements back. We're getting Udogie back. We're getting Van de Ven back. We're getting Romero back. We're getting Vicario back. We're going to get Madison back. We've seen the big difference that Bentancur's made when he came back into the fold. So yeah, even if we don't get a January transfer win signing, kind of goes into your next question there, but we still have the talent at our disposal, almost like waiting in the wings to get called in reinforcements. So I don't think we're going to get relegated. I don't think relegation talk is necessary. If we lose against Brentford, then maybe kind of kindle the question. But all seriousness, I don't think we're going to get relegated. No.
No, I'm kind of still at the point where I'm not too sure whether we're even at that point yet, but even having to talk about it is super, super dangerous, man. Super dangerous. And it screams of the dumpster fire situation that we're in now. But if you don't think that we're in one, or at least you don't think that we're actually close to one, then I think that would probably leave you then still pretty keen on keeping Ange, right? Because then the other question would be is who's the best guy to carry us through these cup competitions? Who's the best man in charge to get us past Liverpool in the second leg, to carry us deeper into the Europa League, and also, the Aston Villa game in the FA Cup. So do you think Ange at this moment in time is the best person still to get us through these cup competitions, also considering the Premier League?
Yeah, I think so. You can't be too knee-jerk reaction, but you could argue that this knee's been broken for a long time. What would have changed my mind is that if we didn't get the line up against Coventry, right? If we didn't get over the line against the first leg in Liverpool, if we couldn't somehow get over the line in that last Europa League game, the fact that the players are obviously still fighting for Ange, we saw that Archie collapse on the pitch there after that Europa League game. We saw how much effort and meant did Sergio Reguilon to finally get some minutes to come on against Leicester City and picking a fight against Ayew. By the way, absolute scrub ball. I can't get over Ayew or the him and his brother.
He's good for a relegation team. Someone like a Jordan Ayew. He's just the way he wins free kicks and the shithouser he does. Yeah.
I know. To me, he reeks of. I know this isn't Andrew Ayew calling, but it's for me, he reeks of a player that's wasn't good enough for the better. Wasn't good enough to push himself consistently to be the top level player, but he was too bad for the championship. So he's in that halfway in between spot, almost like a Neil Maupay grade player, where it's you can make a living in the lower half of the Premier League. But anyway, yeah, no, the players are still there. The fight is still there. There's disgruntlings where if you give anybody an inch in the British media, they take a mile. And maybe some players have complained about the tactics, or maybe some players have come out with the training, but maybe it all just stems from the fact that everybody is just frustrated, everybody's just tired, everybody's just exhausted. This is a grueling marathon we're running right now. And so you give a media outlet a soundbite, they're going to take it and exploit it 100-fold, right? To try and rock the shape even more. So I still believe we're very tight knit. I still believe there's a tight core. That being said, you can't. It's almost as dangerous. Big up Beto, by the way. It was nice seeing a new friendly face in the community. And a good classic retro Spurs shirt. Not retro Spurs, because it's not that old, but nice Jose Mourinho style.
Yeah, remind me. I have a Højbjerg kit of that season, and also funny to meet another Ndombele fan. But then it seems like answer to my questions, you don't think relegation battles even possible, at least at this point. But then also you're saying that Ange is still the best guy to carry us through the rest of the season, both the Premier League, but also just these cup competitions. Because the reason I asked that, just quickly, the context behind that is people would think that with a new manager bounce, or a new manager, likely get a new manager bounce, we probably get out of this relegation scrap with a few wins, and that would be big relief to a lot of those fans. But would a new manager, my worry is, would a new manager actually stand a better shot, or have a better shot of getting past Arne Slot in this next leg, or carrying us deep into the Europa League, or getting us past Aston Villa, when they're still figuring out the squad, they're still figuring out their team, they're still figuring out the Premier League, various things, right? And I just don't know if that's actually the case, whether the I think a new manager probably would do better than Ange in the Premier League right now. I think they probably would pick up a little more points than he is, but I'm not sure whether Ange would do as poorly as some people might think, in this next game against Liverpool or in these games against Aston Villa or whatnot, because he has done well in the Cup so far. And I don't know, he's gotten us there to this point. So that's where I'm a little torn on, is basically, would a new manager do better in the Cups? Maybe plenty would, but I'm not sure if the ones that we could bring in right now, right this second, the ones that we could bring in, I don't know if they actually would do better in these cup competitions.
You don't want to Sam Allardyce ball, right? You don't want Sam Allardyce for that.
That's the thing. It's like Sam Allardyce probably saves us from relegation scrap. He probably does do better than. I'm not kidding. I hate to say it. It's stupid to say this out loud, but he probably would do better than Ange right now with this in the Premier League, just getting points, getting over the line. He probably would do better. But when you're actually talking about beating top class managers like Arne Slot, Unai Emery, etc., or taking us deep into a Europa League run, I think Ange still has delusion. I'm probably very delusional for saying this, but I do think Ange still has a better chance of doing that than some of the other guys that we could realistically bring in right now. In this,
I take everything you're saying, like 100% hear what you're saying, and you're allowed.
It's a weird distinction I'm making. Like, I don't think Ange is doing himself any favors in the Premier League, but I still am retaining some sort of delusional hope he might actually do something for us in one of the cups. Or at least does a better chance of, I don't know, Edin Terzic, these sort of guys. Like, I just don't think that these guys would actually pick up the situation and do that much better. I really don't.
Yeah, and a couple things, like you just look back to that Pochettino run, that amazing run we had in the Cup, where the players are obviously two different mindsets, right? It's like, hey, we can do something special this season, while our league form's kind of faltering away, and we kind of throw all our eggs in one basket. Even Ange came out in the media recently in his last presser for the midweek and saying how, like, we got to keep our heads, basically, because we have something special. Like, regardless what happened this last little bit here, this last month and a half, like, we have something special ahead of us in 3 months, like within the next 3 months, like we can still do that. So he obviously has that mentality and that belief still, and I believe the players do too. I already say the players still fight for him. But all this Ange in, like what I was alluding to before, and I mentioned Buddy's old jersey there, is that, like, you can't have that same, like, it's dangerous. He made that car, what's the word? The warning light, the hazard light on your car when it pops up, that analogy where it's like, you can't keep riding this car and then when it breaks down, you're like, what happened, right? Like, you have to, like, you can't have progress without criticism, and that's not cynicism, that's just like reality, right? You look at the fact of, like, Ange, I'm looking at that Leicester game, and I think it'd be wrong for you not to criticize some stuff about Ange. Like, we saw that they were very Harry Winks general that midfield, which sucks to say, but like, he really, like, they set the press, they use that energy, they use that kind of, like, they tapped into that between the Vardy, like, all one Premier League, zero Premier League kind of thing, and also that, like, my mentality, I'm going to come back to my home stadium and show you what's up. Like, they really suffocated us and we couldn't really play our ball. We did in moments of the game because we just had better players, but one of the best ways into the box we had there was just late crosses into the back post, right? You had two people on both sides that could do it. And why we didn't bring on a Lancashire, right? I could see Sonny was not doing good up front there. Why couldn't you just bring on a Lancashire, give him 30 minutes, give him 20 minutes, give a big tall guy in there, another aerial battle that opens up more space at the end for, like, Sarr and Bergvall to operate in. So I thought it was kind of weird that he didn't bring another striker. But like being said, that's like the one thing that I could really poke him at. Like you said, he is tactically astute, and like he's like Sonny, keeping lightning in a bottle. Maybe that's how Ange is as well. Like, he knows that these cup competitions are not only are we silverware at this club, but he knows that what it means to everybody in the world of football if Tottenham Hotspur can win a trophy, right? And so he's saving those speeches. Maybe he's saving that mentality. Maybe he knows that, hey, we're criticizing the guy for, like, the lack of energy or the lack of saving players, but maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he is actually managing this workload to those games, because we have a business, and now we have 3 games in a row that are really crucial: the Liverpool, the Aston Villa, and I believe there's one more in there. Oh, maybe the Aston Villa is the cup game. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. So yeah, those 2 games are going to be huge, and everybody knows what he did with Australia. Everybody knows what he did with the Yokohama and Celtic, right? So there's potential here for that. So ask me again at the Manchester United game.
Yeah, well, I will.
That could be El Sakako, because with the way Almond's going.
My final important question, which I've needed everybody to answer, is on the transfer window. Alistair Gold has suggested we'll still sign one more player before the end of the window. Do you actually think we will sign a player before the end of the window? I mean, I think there's good arguments to make on either side. It could be a late signing, could actually be no one. What do you make of that? Will Spurs actually sign somebody?
It's a good way you frame that, because it kind of like nudges me, shepherds me into the way of like what the real problem is, and that's Daniel Levy and Enoch, man. Because like, what's the hell is going on, man?
Well,
Like,
right, because my frustration is, and Beto brought it up perfectly, right? When we went into this January window, there were two options available to Daniel Levy. Either sacks Ange, brings in a new guy, backs that manager, picks up the project from there, see how we do. Or he backs Ange with signings that we already knew that we needed before even the January transfer window had begun. Somehow, some way, Daniel Levy has surpassed our very low expectations and done neither, which is incredible, really. But that's where, that's why I'm asking, is he actually going to go basically full transfer window without signing pretty much anyone other than Kinski, I guess?
You talk about football and philosophy, and I'm just trying to change the way we think. And we take Ange out of it because he's too divisive a character. Like football, you can line up 11. It's such a beautiful game because anyone in the world can play it. You can go meet somebody who doesn't speak same language, but if you can play the game of football, you guys can communicate, right? So it's a universal game. It's a game of the world. There's different ways to look at it. There's different ways to manage it. But one thing is like a philosophy is like you get presented two decisions of life. You go left, you go right. Well, not making a decision is a decision. And sometimes not making that decision like brings everything crumbling down. And we're seeing that now. Like I actually saw that banner, that 26 years, 16 managers, one trophy. I saw them trying to like take that down. Like the staff are trying to get in there and like break it up and like take it. Like what the hell's going on here? What kind of communist fascism going on here? No, I don't want to get that crazy. But the reality is that everybody knows that the club reeks of mediocrity. And yeah, we are a big business. Like your buddy from Jerome was saying there, like a big, we're one of the biggest sports enterprises in the world. But it's like, if you can't get the footballing right head on, like, what are you going to do here, right? Like, what are we doing here? What's going on, right? And so we have a fan base that's just demands success and an ownership group that's just not there to do it. So I don't know. I was trying to be a Levy sympathizer for the longest time. I try to look at the stadium. I try to look at the infrastructure you brought in. And yeah, it's like they're playing that mobile game where you build up your empire. And yeah, for sure, you have a great product now. So like, why wouldn't you want to build? Like, it's almost ironic, Jack, because it's like with a guy with that big of an ego, with like, look at me, look at my products and everything. Wouldn't you want like a nice trophy stadium part that you walk in, like Real Madrid does, and they have that hall of glory, and they have everything. Like, why wouldn't you want that at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? That just seems like the next natural step. So going back to the original question here in January, it sucks. Like, what is it? I don't even know what the date is. 28th, 27th. There's no way we're gonna get somebody over the line now. There's just no way we're gonna get somebody over the line now. And I'm not even saying that to like be negative. That's not even just me saying that to rattle anybody or to try and like be a contrarian or like the clickbaits or whatever. No, dude. It's like, how long some of these transfers have to take, especially coming over. Unless Johan Lange is spinning plates in the background that we don't see, like that Kinski signing came out of nowhere. So if it's something like that, I don't see us signing anybody well, I should take that back. We might sign somebody, but it's not going to be somebody that's going to come in and directly impact the first team. That's going to take us to where we need to go and elevate our squad to like immediate success. It's not someone that's going to give us the equivalent of a player of a new manager bounce, almost like Bergvall. Like there's 3 signings in recent history that did that to us. We had that Bergvine come in for a little bit there, who scored right off his debut in the City game, and it was great, and everyone was doing the mask for a little bit there. It was awesome, but then he fell off a cliff. But they're not going to get the likes of Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski signings in right now. There's just not enough time. I did see that we were linked with that Lewis Dibbling there, or whatever his name is, over.
Yeah, but that's still, it's looking like another young, very expensive signing that I don't even know whether they come into the team. That's just, I'm not sure if that one's happening.
I'm
it
okay with.
Looks like it could be lined up for the summer, which is again not something we actually need. We need something now.
I'm okay with that though. Like just like I'm talking about signings though. Like I'm okay with that because he's a worldie. That guy's amazing. He's built tall. He's strong. He's physically got a big frame, and he's just a youngster. Like he's gonna be he almost plays like a Zizou kind of world where he'll float from box to box, pick up the ball in weird areas, advance the ball, be able to take pressure on, be able to turn with it. He's got a good left foot, he's got a good right foot, he's good in the air. So he harnessed that ability, and he's a bit of a flairster as well. It just screams like a Bergvall, Archie Gray signing that's going to come through, and he's going to be a great player in the next couple of years. So obviously, it's not going to light the house afire now, but if that's the market we're shopping in, and those are the kind of players we need to get.
Oh shit. Oh. Am I frozen? Am I frozen, or is Donovan the one that's frozen? Everybody, can people still hear me? Donovan is the one that's frozen. It's happened to me a couple of times today, so I was I was a little worried. I was like, oh, it's probably me this time. Looks like Donovan froze there. We were kind of getting towards the end of the time. Anyways, I'll give him just a second, though. Yeah, Donovan was the one that was froze. It could have easily been me. But it looked like Donovan was the one that froze. And it's already happened enough. I wasn't gonna accuse him of it being him. I was like, it's more likely me. But yeah, we'll let Donovan finish up here.
That's hilarious, man. I guess that too much speed.
First, I was like, oh, it must be me again. It was you that time, but I wasn't gonna you because I was like, it's already happened to me 2 times. But yeah, I think the final question we're kind of discussing is just whether we'll actually bring in somebody or not. You seem to have some type of hope that we will.
Yeah, just a couple young, like a youngster, maybe a couple second youngster, but we're not going to get like the Jonathan Davids or the Rafael Leaos or trying to think who else could come in and make a good impact. Like, even like I know Davis, like Eze, people like that level of caliber players, like just the pipe dream, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to get anything like that. But no, I wouldn't mind that Diblin guy or that there's that Spanish youngster who plays on the back line for Bournemouth, right? We can get him for 12, 15 million there. Like those are good players, right? But we might get the return of Romero and Van de Ven, right? And those might be a new signing boost too. Vicario coming back. I mean, how much of a mad lad that is. I might push Kinski onto a new level. I might push Vicario onto a new level, right? So there's still stuff to look forward to. Like it's not all doom and gloom. We are hovering around a very scary place in the league. And it's something I've never seen Tottenham fall this far before. And it is a bit of a dumpster fire, like you said, but I've seen enough of this season to still hold hope in the fact that we could have a very special season. And yeah, it's Ange come out saying in these moments that look at me going back to Ange. It's Ange in these moments saying that, like, hey, there's what's the classic cliche? It's darkest before the dawn. You know, no flowers, no rain. You want to build a fertilizer, or you want to fertilize your garden. You know what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, like this could be it, man. You know, we could go out there and we could upset Liverpool, right? And then next thing we're in a final, right? And last thing I'll say, Jack, is like you said before how firing Ange, like, yeah, we might get a bounce in the league, but is there anybody really that can get us over the line in those finals on this like available right now? We already did the same thing in the past, man. Like we tried to get rid of Jose, right? And then we brought in Mason thinking that it was routine. City, we could get over the line against City because we're City's bogey team, right? And we were there to like win that trophy. You know, yeah, it was a Carabao Cup, but still it was the English League Cup at the time. Yeah, it's still a good trophy. But the reality is that these special managers are going to get to the final. That's when they make their bread and butter. That's when they show that, hey, you know, this is why we're at the level of the game. This is why we're at the club we are. This is what establishes out from like a regular manager to a decent manager to our level of manager, because we can get over the line. And Ange has done that. Like he's been there and he's gotten himself over the line. People are forgetting that yeah, everybody rips on the leagues they were in, but some of those clubs he took over in his earlier days, they were like about to fold. Like some of those clubs didn't even have supporter bases anymore. Some of those clubs maybe barely filled up their stadium. Yeah. And then he brought them to the point where like they were like world beater clubs. Like some of those clubs he went to brought him to like the FIFA World Club competition for the first time. We were playing some big teams and we were playing good football, right? So like, yeah, you can have your criticisms with the man all you want. I do too. Like I still think that he's improved a lot over this last year, because I think it's been very humbling for him this last 2024. But he's still learning, like, the media is still learning like certain things, and where it's like, hey, you can't make a rod out of your back in some of these statements. Everybody's still hovering over. As soon as if something does bad happen in the cup or whatever, then boom, they're gonna get on him right away. But I've seen enough from the guy personally just to see that. Hey, there's enough in there to at least give him the Liverpool game. And that's all I'm going to say. Is I'm not going to go farther than that. Just keep what's ahead of you. Look at the Liverpool game, because that's going to be a good game coming up here. So
Very nice, Donovan. I put in Donovan's link to his channel here, everybody. I know he's a busy guy. He hasn't put up any videos too recently, but if you want to listen to anything he's had to say in the past, feel free to do so. Maybe you never know; it could be a video up there at some point, for the rest of the season. Get his opinions out there. But thank you, sir. Thanks for waiting patiently, and thanks for keeping me company.
hey, thanks for accommodating me, and thanks for the shout out. Yeah, now that you said that, I'll have to go on there and do a maybe I'll do a pre-Liverpool pump up. Everyone pumped up. Everybody on the
We need somebody to pump us up, man. Need somebody to.
Yeah.
Always, Donovan.
Thanks for having me on late. I know I did come in late, so it's very courteous of you. Thank you so much.
Good. Always have time for you. Always have time for you, sir. Appreciate you. I will see you next time. Maybe pre-match build-up or something before the next fan show.
Definitely. And Andrew trust, and that's a good way to leave it. Let's go, boys.
Good man. Alrighty. See you, Donovan. Come on, you Spurs. Big up to Donovan. Please, everybody, thank him in the chat. And thank you to everybody that came on today. Plenty of people, long queue. Really do appreciate it. Not easy time to come on and talk about Spurs. So credit to you guys. Brave faces, brave voices, making sense of a dumpster fire of a situation. So fair play to you guys. Provided me plenty of therapy. Provided me some Spurs company as well. And I will see you tomorrow for plenty of things. Tomorrow we have a Tottenham hangover that should be on Big Up, by the way. So look out for that in the community section. Look out for that on Twitter as well. We'll be posting links to that by joining us on the Big Up streams. By the way, everybody, you do just help out Dave and I and everything we're trying to do just in general. So just if you are available, if you have time, you can even just send in a few gifts, send in just a few comments, listen for 10 minutes or the whole time. It does really help us out a ton, and it does mean a lot to us. So help us over there, please. We will be having a panel show. Johnny and Sam should be available tomorrow night. Some good questions about everything going on. They'll try to make sense of things for us. We'll have some recordings going out. I think there will be some of those pundit reactions, which you guys seem to enjoy. You guys seem to take a liking to. So those should be out later in the week. Wednesday, I'm debating over what we might do on Big Up. There could be another neutral watch along, for the last night of the Champions League before the knockout rounds. We also might be doing actually another version of a fan show, like kind of more for like 45 minutes or like an hour, but we just bring on as many people as we can on that Big Up platform. And then we just give you guys a variety of topics to sort of, give your opinions on, give your say on, and we'll just kind of hash it out and make sense of Spurs in the best way we can. Plenty of other things. And then match day festivities, right, on Thursday. Huge game against Elfsborg. It's a must win. Much must win. So we have to win that one in order to avoid the playoff games, in order to avoid any extra games in the Europa League, which we really benefit from. So appreciate you guys. Smash the like button, please, as well on the way out if you forgot to, if you haven't done already. And I will see you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for you guys for being members, supporting this channel. Really goes a long way for Dave and I. And thanks for just being great people around this community, especially during times like this where it's not easy being a Spurs fan. Appreciate you guys. See you next time. Come on, you Spurs.